Okay guys, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. This is going to be something slightly different. I happened to accidentally actually notice that my video count, i.e. the number of videos I've actually put onto YouTube, is 1004. 1004 videos. I mean, seriously, that is a lot of videos. I mean, probably in the first year of me doing YouTube, I was putting out one video a day. It didn't last very long, I have to say. I mean, it probably lasted, several months, and then I realised that, you can't afford to put too many videos out, because A, it takes up too much time and people basically become bored shitless just seeing the same things over and over again. So what I thought I would do is I would just, I'm not going to be answering any of the questions, guys. I do know I've had quite a few for this week, which is brilliant, but I'm going to keep them for next week. The great thing about having a sort of a retro gaming channel is nothing goes out of date, because it's all out of date. So yeah, what I've done is I've just made a few. I just want to kind of talk a wee bit about YouTube. So to kick things off, how did I get started in YouTube? Now, if you've followed my channel for any length of time, you've probably heard me talking about this previously. Like a lot of people, YouTube, to me, it was just it was a website. If I wanted to watch a music video, I would go to YouTube. That was about the extent of it. I mean, I had no idea about channels or uploading content. It wasn't something that ever concerned me. I had no idea about that it was even possible. That changed. When would it be? It changed towards the end of 2013. It was at the computer club actually, and one of my mates, George, mentioned to me, he said about, oh, do you watch Steve Benway on YouTube? And I'm like, what? I didn't understand what he was talking about. He says, yeah, he's got a channel. Now, I didn't even know that channels existed. I just thought it was people uploading random videos, and that was it. I didn't even know there was a scene so much on YouTube. So he mentioned this guy, Steve Benway, and I went home, did a search on YouTube, and lo and behold, up popped Steve Benway. Started watching his channel, found it real interesting, particularly the Friday Talkie, which was basically him talking pish for an hour on a Friday. So that became quite compulsive viewing. Then I can't remember timelines, months, dates, whatever, but shortly after that, it struck me that I was in a bit, if I'd lost my gaming mojo, I had no interest in playing any games, despite having all these systems. I mean, I didn't have as many systems 4 years ago as I do now. I was just sitting one night thinking, there's nothing I want to play. I wasn't bored of everything. I had no incentive to play any games. So then I thought to myself, why don't I record myself playing a game and I'll upload it onto this YouTube thing? So I did that. On the, what date was it? On the 9th of December 2013, I did my first proper video. I mean, I had done a couple of videos in the past, just random things, not me talking as such. It was just random uploading things. But the first proper video that I made for the Meme Meister channel, it was uploaded on the 9th of December 2013, and it was a game on the Mega CD called Sewer Shark. Now, after I've spoken about this, I'll let you see a wee bit of it. It's interesting to see. Not that I'm professional at all now, but it's interesting to see how how awful it was. It really was. So yeah, take a wee look at this. This is the first Meme Meister video, and this is I can't even say the word, Sewer Shark on the Mega CD. Hello and welcome to yet another boring YouTube video channel of somebody playing a game. The reason behind it is basically I realise I spend far too much time on the internet like most people and don't achieve anything. So I thought what I need to start doing is playing more games. And I thought to make a bit more interesting and to encourage me to do it, what I shall do is play a shit game, try and play a shit game, one game per night for 10 minutes. So I'm going to call it the Meme Meister 10-minute mashup. The first game that I'm going to play on the CD32 is Splendiferous Sewer Shark. Now you need to bear with me because I've never played any of these games before, so I haven't a clue how to play it. But anyway, let's go. I've started the timer, we've got 10 minutes.
First time, huh, rookie? Hey, listen, I hear the boys knew he was ghost today. Now that's my main man. Greatest co-pilot.
If the video looks shit, it's because the video is shit.
Give him your best stuff, and he'll keep you flying. Maybe all the way to the Solar City, huh? Shoot time. I'm Falco. You'll be hearing from me.
There must be some way skipping this. Let's hammer some buttons.
Here we go.
Alright, here we go. I'm guessing it looks better on the camera, but believe you me, it is block central on the telly. Come on, how do we shoot? Oh, there's a killer rat. Die! Or is it a raptor? There we go. How do we shoot? There we go. Oh! What's that arrow telling me to do? It's pointing to the right. And so far I seem to have absolutely no control over anything. I've set my mobile phone for 10 minutes, so when the 10 minutes is up, the alarm will go off and the video ends. Although right now playing this for 10 minutes feels like a chore. Die! You don't actually steer, all you do is move the cursor. So yeah, it's a bit rough around the edges, shall we say, but that was the first video I put out, and I went on to make, actually at that point I called it the Main Meister, sorry, the Main Meister 10-minute mashup, and the whole point of what I was going to do, I didn't even think about it was going to be a channel. It was just me going to play a game for 10 minutes and upload it and see where it went. So that was the very first Main Meister 10-minute mashup. I was doing them daily for, I don't know, maybe half a year, 6 months, something like that. I'm really not too sure. But where are we now? We're in, so that would be about 3-4 years. So it's about 3.5 years I've been doing this thing now. And over that period, I've obviously come up with quite a few different features. I mean, I always joke that I've got more features than a top of the range Ford Fiesta car. I mean, some of the features that I've done in no particular order, the 10-minute mashup, I still do that from time to time. I mean, you know, it just varies. I mean, it might not even be one mashup a week. It just depends. Other features I've done, Arcade Perfect My Arse, where I basically play the arcade game and then I play the various other home versions, and I just basically give you my opinion on what I think's the best one. I usually try and award a sort of bronze, a silver and gold award. The 10-minute mashup seems to be quite a popular video. People enjoy it, which is great. I mean, because it's not a particularly difficult video to put together. You know, it just depends. I mean, I've got a 10-minute mashup, not a 10-minute mashup, but I've got an Arcade Perfect My Arse, which has already been recorded. I'll be putting it out probably Monday, and it's got just a silly amount of versions, so just depends what game you pick. Sometimes there can be tons, other times it might only be, you know, the 16-bit and 8-bit computers. But yeah, the Arcade Perfect My Arse, I know other people do similar things. You know, I've always maintained that not one person owns any type of video, you know what I mean. So I mean, other people have done the same thing. As long as they're not going to call it Arcade Perfect My Arse, then you know it's up to everybody else. Nobody owns a particular genre. But the Arcade Perfect My Arse, like I says, I think I've done about 50, 60. Certainly covered most of the sort of the popular games that I like to play. But it always proves popular. Another one is Blimey It's Only, and it's basically where I interview somebody. I mean, I've interviewed some big names as far as sort of retro kind of scene goes. I've also interviewed some lesser known people, but in my mind equally as interesting, people that are kind of involved in the industry, you know, in some shape or form. So I always enjoy the Blind Mates Only. Why I Love is a feature where I basically, a game that I've always enjoyed. It might not be a particularly good game, but it's a game that I've always enjoyed, so that's what I call it. Why I Love. I think I've done Bruce Lee, done various ones as well. This one, the Friday Waffle. I've been doing Friday Waffles for about 2 years now, so I think the last time I looked, there was it 156 Friday Waffles. Now generally they run for about, I don't know, up to an hour, sometimes half an hour, so that's potentially 156 hours of waffles, which would be, I don't know how many, that's about a week's worth. You've got almost 1 week's worth of me talking shite. So yeah, if you ever suffer from insomnia, then you can watch my waffles. But the Friday Waffle, it's a staple diet of my channel. It'll always come out on a Friday. I think there's only been maybe once or twice where I've not put the video out on a Friday. I mean, sometimes I've got to pre-record it. I think there's been a couple of times where I've had to put it out on a Saturday, but I always like to get it put out on a Friday. Sometimes it's midnight on a Friday, you know what, but people seem to enjoy it. It's definitely the main video that I do, I think, on the channel. It's probably the video that most people, if you're to ask people who watch my channel what videos do you remember, it's probably going to be the Friday Waffle. It's easy to do because you're just talking to a camera. Obviously, as time has progressed, I've kind of ran out of topics, so I've always needed you guys to kind of give me questions and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'll keep the Friday Waffle going. As long as people enjoy it, then I'll keep making it. Quite a more kind of modern one that I came out with, not modern, a more updated, more recent one I should say, is the 8-bit face-off kerfuffle. It's kind of similar to the Arcade Perfect My Arse, but the difference being I just basically look at a game that came out in the 8 bits. I won't look at 16 bits or consoles, it's purely 8 bits. So generally it's going to be the Spectrum, Commodore 64 and Amstrad, but it's a nice easy video to put out. It's actually quite fun to play because, you know, most of the time the games that I played in the C64 I never played in the Spectrum. So it's a nice one to do, and I've got to say I love my intro to it. My mate Steve Snake very kindly put together a proper Spectrum tape loading image. That's my favourite intro that I've actually kind of put together. I love it to bits. So yeah, 8-bit face-off kerfuffle. Next one, possibly the worst game ever. Well, it does exactly what it says in the tin. It's basically where I play a game that I think it just looks bloody awful. There's been a few times where I've played a game and it's actually not turned out to be as bad as I thought. But yeah, it's what's interesting about that one. People enjoy seeing bad games getting played, sometimes more than good games. I don't know what it is about it. I mean, I enjoy playing crap games. I mean, Stuart Ashens, of Ashens fame, he makes his living basically playing bad games. He's made written a few books about awful games. There's something attractive about playing a terrible game, you know, because it's quite amusing actually. So yeah, quite enjoy that one. What the bloody hell is this? Is my most recent feature. Basically, I've got a spreadsheet in Excel, and I've managed to upload something like 65,000 game titles into it. And I basically press F9 on the keyboard, and it randomly picks a game, and I basically hold the F9 down for it's basically as long as the drum roll lasts, and then it picks a game and I play it. I've recorded 2, one's already been put out. I've got one more, I'll probably put that out maybe tomorrow or Sunday. But that was actually a couple of guys that watch the channel that came up with that idea. It's a really good one, and I think it'll be quite good fun because I've got no idea what game's going to get picked, so it's always quite amusing to try that. Another quite a popular one was That Was the Year That Was, and it was basically where I was just looking at arcade games. I started in, I think it was 1976, and I just looked at the arcade games that came out in that year. I talk a wee bit about major kind of news events, the top films, the top sort of 10 music singles. It's quite an interesting thing to do. I mean, when I'm making some of these videos, it's actually good fun because I get to play games that I'd never have seen before. So that was quite a popular one. I got to, I think it was about 2004, something like that. And at that point I realised there are no arcade games coming out now that I can really feature. So I knocked that in the head. But I've just recently started, that was the year that was, for the Spectrum. I think I've done 2 episodes. I've done 1981 and 1982. So yeah, that's, again, it's quite sort of good fun to actually to put that one together. Another, excuse me, I'm kind of running away with myself here. One of my favourite features, it's kind of similar to Blind Mates Only, but it's people, basically mates and whoever, and I call that the Main Meister and Chums Talk Pish. I've done, I don't know how many, maybe about 8 videos, something like that. I mean, I've had a few guys that watch the channel on it, mates and that kind of stuff. It's basically me sitting down with a mate or a couple of mates, the camera pointing at us and just talking about something, usually just random gaming rubbish, but it's quite interesting because it's not scripted in any shape or form, and I certainly enjoy watching videos like that, but it's just people talking about something that they enjoy. So yeah, that's always a good one. One that I've not done anything for a while is Main Meister Looks At, and that is basically my version of a pickup. If I get a new bit of hardware, a new gaming console, new computer, whatever, I call it the Main Meister Look At, and I'll just show it off, play some games in it, whatever. And the last one, well, I mean, there's other ones as well as this. I want to be a video game champ. Now that was my attempt at playing a game and hoping to become world class. Well, I knew I wasn't going to become world class, but one of the games that I played, I started off playing, I was going to say Mortal Kombat, Missile Command. I got a few tips off my mate Tony Temple, who knows a few things about that game. I didn't get very far into it. I kind of lost interest in it. The one game that I decided to play, and I've got to say I love it to bits, and it's now one of my favourite games, is Berserk. Obviously, I've got the little Berserk robot as my kind of avatar thing for the channel. I just love that game to bits. So I did play that quite a lot, and I still love the game. It's one of my favourite arcade games. I've not done any I Want to Be a Video Game Champ videos for quite a while. You know, it's the thing is with these, I don't think you have to put out regular content on a feature. If you're constantly putting out the same stuff, people will get bored, and I get bored of doing the same videos. So I try and mix and match. I mean, I've got there, I don't know how many I want to. I've got about 12 different features. So, you know, the Friday Waffle will always be there. The Arcade Perfect, my arse. You'll usually get one of them. Listen to me talking Scottish common. You'll get one of these probably every at least once a fortnight. But yeah, that's there's been other features that I've came up with, and like anything, you try it. Some of them you think, nah, that's a bit shit, and you don't go back to it. But these ones that I've read out are ones that are still quite popular, and I certainly enjoy making videos for it. Now, after about 2 months of me starting the channel, the channel was almost taken off air, because after about 2 months, I think I was up to, I think I maybe had 3 or 4 subscribers. I mean, it literally was that few. I had virtually no subscribers, just a very tiny handful. I was putting out my 10-minute mashup videos, and I remember looking, I'd uploaded this one, and I went back to it like a day later, and it had 3 views, something like that, 3 or 4 views, and the penny dropped, and I just thought to myself, what am I doing? Why am I wasting time uploading videos? Because quite clearly nobody's interested in watching them, and I don't blame people. You know, I was doing it more for me, and if somebody wanted to watch it, then fine. But it just got me thinking. I says, why am I devoting time, wasting time coming up to my games room, recording a video that nobody's watching? So I put out a video. I was actually looking to find it, but I couldn't find it. I put out a video basically saying, thanking my 3 subscribers, but telling them that I was going to be wrapping the channel up, because I just felt it was a waste of time. But one person, and that person is Brian, Brian C, I think his second name is. Brian posted a comment and said that he was gutted to hear that I was going to knock the channel on the head, and he told me that he really enjoyed the videos that I was putting out. And I think one other person did the same thing, and that one thing kept this channel going. I thought to myself, well, you know what? It doesn't matter how few people are watching them. The fact that even one person was finding what I was putting out entertaining was enough for me. I thought, I'm going to keep this going. So, you know, if you enjoy my channel and you're glad it's still here, then you've got Brian C to thank for it, because if he hadn't commented, chances are this video wouldn't be getting made. I would have knocked it in the head. So yeah, that was why the channel was always taken down after 2 months. Now, I've decided to try and pick 3 videos that I've made that I'm most proud of, and why, you know, videos that I'd like to watch and I'm happy to have kind of put together. They're not in any particular order. Now, when you've got 1400 videos, actually knowing what videos you've done is quite difficult. I mean, I was going through sort of lists, you know, but there's probably videos in that I've made that I've completely forgotten about. When you've put as many videos together as I have over 3.5 years, you're not going to remember. I mean, I don't keep videos. I don't have a list of videos that I've done. I maybe should do that, you know. But anyway, in no particular order. Now, what I'm going to do actually, rather than putting a link to the video up above, I'm actually going to talk about it, and then I'm going to let you see the full video. Now, obviously, you can just jump right past it if you don't want to watch the video, but I know from personal experience, if I get a link appearing on top of a video, I very, very seldom actually watch it. I'll never click on the link, and I think that's the same with other people. So what I thought I would do, I'd try and force you to watch it. I'll let you see the video, but like I said, obviously feel free to skip past it. You can jump to the next one. So the first one that I'm picking is called The Nuclear War Fears as a 1980s Teenager. Now, being of a certain age, I was a teenager in the 1980s when the fear of a Cold War, well, the Cold War was in existence, and the fear of a nuclear war was very, very real. I mean, we were even getting adverts shown on TV telling us what to do if we hear the siren. It was quite a scary time to be alive, it really was. And being a teenager, I was genuinely concerned about it. You know, seeing all these public information films appearing on TV, I was genuinely worried. And then, when would it be? About a year ago, there was a secret bunker in a place that's in Fife in Scotland, and myself and my wife went along to see it. And it's a secret bunker which you go into. Now, I'll not go into any details because you can watch the video yourself, but basically after I came back, I took some photos of being in the secret bunker. It just got me thinking about the whole nuclear war thing in the 80s. I mean, there was video games coming out as well, your Raid Over the Moscows and stuff like that. So I thought to myself, I'm going to put together a video just of my thoughts on it, my visit to the bunker, video games, what kind of impact it had on me. So that's what it's called, Nuclear War Fears as a 1980s Teenager. So this is the video. How we doing, guys? Welcome to a rather strange video, shall we say. You're probably looking at the title and thinking, what the hell has this got to do with a classic video game YouTube channel? And you'd be right in being a wee bit confused. The reason for this video, it's I was actually at a secret bunker a couple of weeks ago. When I say secret bunker, it was a bunker that was put together or built at the onset of the Cold War. And basically this bunker was underground, obviously, being a bunker. It was built to house important government officials in the event of a nuclear war, because obviously if that happened, 99% of people would have been wiped out, and obviously the country had to still run. So they built a number of these sort of bunkers throughout the UK, and if there was any sign that there was going to be a nuclear bomb getting dropped on Britain, then all the important sort of officials, councillors, ministers, etc., were all going to be put into these bunkers, and the rest of us were just going to have to kind of survive. So yeah, this bunker, it's got quite a strange story. It was put up for sale. I mean, basically, this bunker where it is, it's, to the untrained eye, it looks just like a little cottage, a little farmhouse, and it's only when you actually go in you discover there's actually a long tunnel that goes underground that leads to, 3 levels. Now this bunker actually closed. I think it closed for use in 1991, I think it was, and then in 1993 the house was put up in the market for sale. It was put up for sale, and the guy that bought it, he got it for £60,000. Now, he thought he was buying a little farmhouse, and what he didn't realise until he actually bought it was that there was 3 underground floors of various rooms and that kind of stuff, which was just incredible. What the guy did was, through kind of government funding and help from the Ministry of Defence, he actually kind of put the bunker back to how it would have looked back in the sort of 50s and 60s, and then he opened it up for the public, and I've got to say it's an incredible place to visit, and being there last week, it just invoked a lot of memories that I've got as a child, and that's the purpose of this video. I just want to talk about how I felt as a sort of a teenager growing up in Britain in the mid-80s, with the sort of threat of nuclear war. Now, I've got to say, before I kind of get going with this, please accept that this is just my thoughts and memories as a kid. Anything that I say here, please don't take as factual. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to tell you any lies, but some of the things I'm probably going to talk about may not entirely be true because I've not done any research as such. It's just really my waffling and witterings as a teenager growing up in the UK in the sort of mid-80s. But, in 1945, I've written a few notes here which I checked online. In 1945, just before the end of the Second World War, the US were still at war with Japan, and what they did was they dropped 2 atomic bombs, one on Nagasaki and one on Hiroshima. Now, I don't know what one was first, I'm not too sure, but they both dropped kind of pretty much one after another. Now, these actually killed 129,000 people, which is just terrifying. Now, what I'm going to do is give you a wee video clip of just the bombs, what actually happened, and the devastation. So yeah, you can watch that just now.
This tale of 2 cities of a desert morning. Atomic age is born. A scientific thunderbolt gives a preview of its destructive force. From the instant of that first blast until Hiroshima vanished from the list of living cities, closely guarded plants in New Mexico, Tennessee, and the state of Washington continued their work to shorten the war. Hiroshima, one of Japan's arsenal cities, was selected as the first to feel the weight of atomic power. 21 days after the New Mexico dress rehearsal, a lone B-29 was over Hiroshima carrying an atomic bomb. At 8:15 in the morning of August 6th, Japanese time,
I love the
first
way
atomic bomb
it's
hit an
sort of
enemy
touted with the
target.
typical American propaganda.
The bomb was aimed to explode above 0 point, a spot in the city at the junction of the Motoyisu and Ota rivers.
Not
The bomb was
realising
intentionally set to
the utter
explode
horror
well above
that
the
this would
0
actually
point
bring.
to dissipate its radioactivity. Here is the pictorial record of the result. At 0 point, directly beneath the explosion, the soldier in the scene is pointing at the spot from which all damage to the surrounding area was measured in terms of distance from the center of the blast. Within a mile of 0 point, the devastation speaks for itself. But in these very ruins, Army cameramen have found and filmed pictorial evidence that tells in twisted steel and stone
Yep,
the
I
effects
think
of fueling atomic
we've
power.
probably seen enough,
For
guys.
example, this was the site of the main Japanese military headquarters.
Yeah, pretty sobering stuff when you see the devastation. Now, the thing is, the bombs that were dropped on these two cities were atomic bombs. The bombs I've got nowadays are not nuclear, what are they called? H-bombs. Is it H-bombs? Yeah, the H-bombs, which are far, far, far more powerful than atomic bombs. So yeah, if you thought the destruction in Japan was bad with these atomic bombs, you know, one can only imagine the sheer scale of devastation that an H-bomb would actually cause. It's pretty frightening. But yeah, after fortunately, these were the only two nuclear warheads that have ever actually been used in sort of warfare so far, and hopefully that never actually changes. But after, when was it be? I think 1939, I think it was, there came a state of sort of, well, it was known as the Cold War. It was a state of relations, very, very fragile relations between the East and the West. The USA and its allies, they became known as NATO, which is North Atlantic Treaty Organisation, and Russia, which and their allies became known as the Warsaw Pact. And it was just a. The funny thing was, there wasn't really any fighting going on between the sort of that period, but it was like a knife edge, you know. There was always a threat of something happening. It just took one of these countries to launch a bomb, and that would have been it, you know. If Russia had launched a bomb, the US would have responded, and probably Britain would have got involved as well. So it was a very, very frightening period. So that's when all these nuclear bunkers were built, because of this fear that, you know, things were going to kick off. Yeah, the Cold War ran from, it says, I think it was 1939. Again, guys, I'm really not 100% sure. I might be talking nonsense. The Cold War ran from after the Second World War. I think it might have been actually later. Is it 1946? Something's niggling me. Yeah, I think it was 1946, 47 to about 1991, 92. That's when sort of relations started to defrost a wee bit and kind of get slightly better. I think it was Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan that started to kind of talk about it, and I think they did agree to start having a sort of wasn't a full nuclear disarmament, but they certainly agreed that they were going to start cutting down on nuclear warheads. So yeah, that was the Cold War, and I says that existed from about 46 to about 1991. Now, when I first became aware as a teenager, I mean, I was born in 1967, so what would I be? I don't know. Well, I first became aware of a nuclear war was when I was at school. I was at first year at high school, and I can remember it was the funny thing was, it wasn't a history lesson, it was actually a music lesson, and we were made to listen to this record, and the only way to describe it was written to try and depict the horror of an atomic bomb being dropped. Now, I mean, I'm getting chills just talking about it. It sounds like a really kind of fucked up record to make, but this was obviously written and produced by somebody who was making a statement to sort of tell people this should never be allowed to happen. And I can just always remember the sound of the record was almost like, it was like somebody screaming. That's about the best way I can describe it. And this is what we had to listen to in a music lesson. It was absolutely terrifying. So yeah, that was probably the first time I really became aware of a nuclear bomb, what it was. I mean, being a what would I have been, 13, 14 years old, I didn't watch the news. I mean, there was probably a lot of things going on in the news about, you know, the Cold War, which I simply wasn't aware of. Excuse me. But then shortly after that, that would be in the time when it was extremely popular for kind of kids, students, whatever, school children, to walk about with CND badges. Now, CND is a campaign for nuclear disarmament. Again, I didn't really fully understand what it stood for until me and my mate went along to a CND meeting in my hometown, and they showed us some videos of just the destructive power of a nuclear warhead, and explained the risk, the fact that we've got nuclear missiles in the UK, the fact that nobody could ever win a nuclear war. And that terrified the shit out of me. It really did. Absolutely terrified watching that. So I signed up to join the CND, which I have to say didn't go down well with my parents, because that would be the point when, you know, I was still at school, but obviously in a few years' time I was going to be sitting exams and looking for a job. And what my dad said to me was that if I was to be a member of the CND, it could potentially jeopardise my chances of getting a job with the civil service, with a bank, whatever. So I reluctantly had to kind of walk away from the CND, you know. But yeah, so that was ongoing. Joined the CND. Then this was when it got really scary. This was when it really started to kind of kick in just how frightening this thing was and how much a reality it was. In the sort of early 80s, there was, I mean, even before the 80s, in the 70s and 80s, probably even the 60s actually, the government used to put out what was called public information films. Now, they sound kind of ludicrous now when you look back at some of them. I mean, some of them were so outdated, but what these were, they were just exactly what they say. They were films that were put together to give the public information, ranging from crossing the road to, you know, not being an aggressive driver when you're driving a car, to not smoking in bed, to not touching electricity pylons. I mean, the list goes on and on. Just go into YouTube and type in public information films and you'll be amazed at the topics that were actually covered with these public information films. I mean, stuff like not throwing litter out in the countryside, stuff like that. But yeah, what was to then follow was a series of public information films, and it was basically, they called the campaign Protect and Survive. And again, I'm I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about this. Protect and Survive was a government initiative whereby it was trying to educate the public as to the threats of a nuclear war and what you have to do in the event of it actually happening. Now, I'm going to let you see some of these public information films. Now, these are actually real, genuine public films that were actually shown and broadcast on the TV. I can remember watching them as a kid and being fucking scared, genuinely scared, thinking, you know, what happens if this happens? This is a genuine thing that could happen. You know, when you're 12, 13 years old, you're not thinking about dying, you're thinking about going out to play football, you're thinking about going up to your grannies, you're thinking about going with your pal, swimming. You're not thinking about the fact that the world could potentially end. with something like this. So yeah, these public information films, they were put out, I can't tell you what sort of time scale they were put out on. I just remember for a good, maybe a year or whatever, maybe less than that, I can't remember, that these public information films were being put out. Now, what made them kind of scary was, it's all just a matter of fact, you know. But, you know, in fact, I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm just going to let you see it, and I'll kind of do a bit of commentary while these things are actually playing. Here they go. I've got to say, even just looking at that, listen to that again, just really brings back a sort of overwhelming dread.
They cause great heat and blast. They also make a cloud of deadly dust which falls slowly to the ground. This is what is called fallout. So these are the two dangers. First, heat and blast, which is followed by fallout. The heat and blast is so severe that it can kill and can destroy buildings for up to 5 miles from the explosion. Fallout is dust that is sucked up from the ground by the explosion. It can be deadly dangerous. It rises high in the air and can be carried
And that
by
noise
winds for
of the
hundreds
fallout
miles
really
before
just
falling to the
brings
ground.
back some terrifying memories as a kid. You know, you need to
You can
appreciate
protect
that these
yourself
were actually getting broadcast
family.
on
And
you
later
know,
on, we will show you
TV
what steps
because
to take.
they felt that this was a genuine threat. Now, they actually put together a sort of series of these. I'm not going to show you them all. They are all
If we
available
are
on
attacked by nuclear
online,
weapons, these are the
on
warning
YouTube.
sounds you must recognize.
But they give you
First,
various
the attack warning.
tips and help.
If an attack is expected,
You know,
the
so
sound will
yeah.
sound a rising and falling note like this.
I mean, the information films themselves were very crude, you know, with the graphics and that, but it was very matter of fact that made it so terrifying.
Next, the fallout warning. When fallout is expected, you will hear 3 bangs in short succession. They will be sounded by means of maroons like this. Or you may hear 3 gongs like this. Or 3 whistles like this.
It really does. It seems ludicrous in 2015 looking back at something like this. But this was all very real. And that's what made it. That's what makes. I mean, as I'm sitting talking to you right now, I've got goosebumps. It just really brings it back. Anyway, I'm going to cut this and cut to further in one of these films. Okay, this is the last one I'm going to let you see, but this one in particular just stuck with me. It stayed with me. It was just so final.
Will be made as soon as possible to treat any people who are ill or injured. Listen to your radio. Details will be given about what to do, when to do it, and how. If anyone dies while you are kept in your fallout room, move the body to another room in the house. Label the body with name and address, and cover it as tightly as possible in polythene, paper, sheets, or blankets. Tie a second card to the covering. The radio will advise you what to do about taking the body away for burial. If, however, you have had a body in the house for more than 5 days, and if it is safe to go outside, then you should bury the body for the time being in a trench or cover it with earth and mark the spot of the burial.
It just seems so sort of surreal. Even that noise at the end is like the sound of impending doom.
Yeah, it may look silly and sort of kind of daft now, but believe you me guys, when these were getting broadcast, for a teenager growing up in the UK, it was pretty terrifying. Now, what didn't help, it only added to the fear, was the BBC. In fact, what's the name of the guy? The guy that wrote, oh dearie me, what's his name? The guy that wrote the book Kes, which is all about a little boy that brings up a kestrel. Oh, I can't remember his name. Anyway, this guy, the author of Kes, wrote a book called Threads, and it was commissioned by the BBC, and they made a film. And this film was basically depicting a nuclear bomb dropping in Sheffield. Now, it's a film that you can't. I've already had a look. Although it's an old film, and when it came out in 1984, I think it was, which just goes to show just how much a reality this was. I mean, you know, it was the mid-80s, and this threat was still kind of hanging over us. But Threads, I says, yeah, it was filmed as a real life situation where a bomb drops on Sheffield, and it's, you know what, it's a film I would say everybody has to watch once. It's not a film you would want to watch again, but it just gives, I would reckon, a fairly accurate inside look as to what it would be like if it actually happened, and it's pretty terrifying. You can't find it on YouTube. I mean, you can acquire it from other means, which I've actually done. I mean, you can buy it. I mean, I looked on Amazon, it's like $24.99. I wasn't going to pay that for it, but I did actually manage to acquire it. But if you just Google it, you'll probably find it fairly easily. But it's called Threads, and it says it was filmed in 1984, and it's quite a sobering film, to say the least. Yeah, as we kind of apart from films, this threat was impacting in other areas of being a teenager. You know, you had your films, you had your TV, your sort of your public information films, which I've already let you see. But it was even starting to affect. It was getting sort of advertised, if that's not the right word, through pop music. I mean, the only example I can really think of was Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Two Tribes. Now, anyone that's seen the video for that, it's Gorbachev and Reagan sort of fighting in a kind of, like, it looks like a sort of a sumo wrestler's ring. But the song starts with the siren, they called it the 4-minute warning, and it's basically this horrible siren. And this was actually the sound that you would have heard that the government would have broadcast if they knew that a nuclear warhead was about to strike Britain. It was this horrible wailing siren, and then what then followed in the song was the guy which did the talking in these public information films. You know, and the whole premise of the record was basically protesting about, you know, the shockingness and, you know, devastation that would be caused by a nuclear war. So yeah, that's the only sort of song I can think of. But even computer games, there was 3 computer games that I could remember. Now again, going back probably 81, 82, I remember going into a cafe aware of the threat of nuclear war and seeing this game with these lines coming down, and I realised it was called Missile Command. And you know, the premise of the game was you were basically trying to defend 6 American cities from being struck with nuclear warheads. You were having to shoot them out of the skies. So this was quite a scary game to put together, given it was released when the threat was still real. So anyway, this is Missile Command, guys. Okay then, right, this is the most iconic video game relating to the Cold War. This is Missile Command, and basically the idea of the game is to try and defend your cities. I think they were all basically cities in America from nuclear warheads destroying them. You can see there at the top, these are the missiles raining down on the cities below. This utilised a trackball. You adjust it actually, and basically you've got 3 missile bases along the bottom. You've got left, middle and right, and you've only got a sort of finite number of missiles in which to take out the nuclear warheads, and these get quicker and quicker and quicker as I'm about to demonstrate. And basically the game ends once all your cities are destroyed. And yep, this game came out in, I think it was in 1982, and literally was right in the middle of the Cold War. I can remember seeing this game in a cafe, and bear in mind, you know, that we were getting shown adverts on TV, not adverts, public information films. There we go. Here's the first one. Destroyed one of my cities, and there's another one about to destroy a city. Yeah, we were actually getting shown public information films on TV at this point. So seeing a video game, you know, all about nuclear war, it was pretty terrifying. I'm actually quite surprised that they released a game like this. You'll see here it really starts to speed up a lot now. And I'm just about to lose, and I've lost all my cities. And you'll see what's going to happen here. It's quite literally game over. Yep, it says it all. The end. Okay, that was Missile Command, guys. Yeah, again it looks all very innocuous and sort of innocent, but back in 1981, you know, I mean, I think the game says it all when you lose your final city, and it doesn't just come up game over, it comes up the end, and that's pretty much what would happen, you know, had that actually happened in real life. So that was the only arcade game that I'm aware of. There may be other ones. Excuse me. One game which was released on the Commodore 64, in fact it was also released on Amstrad and Spectrum, was Raid Over Moscow. This game was released by US Gold. It came out, it originated from the States, and again it was released right when the Cold War was still sort of in effect. And the idea being Russia have launched a nuclear attack on cities in America, and it was your job to try and destroy the missiles and ultimately destroy the missile bases. So this is Raid Over Moscow. Okay, this is probably the most sort of iconic game on the home computers. This is Raid Over Moscow. I think it was released as Raid Over Moscow in Europe, and I believe, now I might be talking nonsense, it was renamed, was it Raid in the United States. I mean, this game came out, you can see it there, it came out in 1984. This was still in the height of the Cold War, so, you know, putting out a game similar to this is probably, it was quite a scary thing at the time. Now, it's quite a complicated game to play. It's I'll need to try and remember how to do it. Let's go for beginner. Now, you can see here, there are basically, how many missiles are missiles getting launched. You can see the missiles getting launched on the right hand side. Now the launch site was Minsk,
and it's going to be heading to Atlanta, and it's going to be, well, you can see their time of impact, time to the impact was 6:42, and the idea being I have to try and take out the missiles. And this was always a really difficult level because you've got to try and press, is it F2 I think it is? We're trying to maintain height. You press up to go forwards, you press fire, is it F2? Is it F1? F7 maybe? Ah, it's F7, here we go. It's brutally hard. But you can see there, you know, it says there, time to impact, 6 minutes. No. It's not an easy game at all. And all the time, the time to impact is ticking down. What I really need to do here. Just as well I wasn't a pilot back in the day. But you know, this game, when it was released, there was a lot of controversy for obvious reasons. Right, come on, no, don't crash. Dearie me, this is even harder than I remember it to be. I'm fast running out of time here. Right, if I can get in a straight line here, I might just pop. Well, I think at this rate, guys, we're not going to see any more levels in this, unfortunately. Right, come on, let's... This time, come on. Right, now, this is where I now control the aircraft, and I think I fly towards the missiles. I'm trying to remember what I do here. Would I fly to Minsk? I think I may fly to Minsk actually. Like I say, it's been a long time since I've played this game. Now I think the idea is I need to try and, yeah. This is obviously me now attacking Moscow itself. Now I'm guessing this game was never released in Russia. What happened here? I didn't even notice anything. Right, that's been destroyed. So now I've got 3 minutes before a missile hits Atlanta. Two minutes to go. Now it may only seem like a silly little computer game, but you know, the implications of what was actually happening here were, it's quite scary, you know, and factor in that this game was released when this was still a stark reality, and that's what made this game so scary. seriously struggling here. At least I'm starting to get the hang of that part. And you have got precisely 1 minute and 55 seconds to go. Trying to actually judge this sort of perspective wasn't the easiest. But the sound in this game was pretty good. Well, I think this is my there you go, game over, guys. Right, I've actually restarted it with infinite lives because I want to try and show you the next levels. It's not going to make the game any easier, but it's going to give them infinite lives. Let's get one more out, I think. Right, okay. Hopefully it gets a wee bit easier with practice. Dearie me. This time. Oof. It is not easy trying to judge that. It is really not. Okay, right, I eventually got to the end of this level. This one, you've basically got to try and put a missile through the sort of porthole, which isn't always easy. I'm trying to remember how exactly does it tell you. All the time the clock is running down. I don't know if we're going to maybe take out these. Ah, there we go. I think it changes colour, that's what it is. Yeah. I think these are the sort of missile silos. Okay, Minsk launch site destroyed. But then it'll then go on to do one more. Anyway, listen guys, that is Raid over Moscow. Let's look at another game. The final game, which to my mind was probably the one that had the biggest effect. I mean, Raid over Moscow was kind of arcadey, so it'd be easy to kind of forget that it was, you know, that it was nothing more than just a computer game. But this last one, it was called Theatre Europe. Now, it was actually a strategy game. You could either play the Warsaw Pact, which was like Russian and allies, or you could play the part of NATO, which was America and its allies, and you had to basically fight the opposite, the enemy, moving troops, moving warheads, and you could launch chemical attacks. You could also launch nuclear warheads. And I remember playing this game and thinking, fuck's sake, this is real. This could happen. I was playing a game and like destroying buildings, with the knowledge that that could actually happen in real life to me, and it was terrifying. As you'll see, I do mention some of the sort of the more frightening aspects of the game, but this is Theatre Europe. This is Theatre Europe, and this was released by XCS. Basically what this game was, it was you can tell the tune. It was Give Peace a Chance, which was by John Lennon, I think it was. Yeah, and this was basically a strategy war game based on the nuclear, obviously, Cold War that was going on between NATO and the Warsaw Pact. Now you could obviously pick who you wanted to go for. They all made this game particularly eerie. It's not a particularly great game, and graphically wise it's very, very simple. But what made it quite scary was before you could actually launch a nuclear bomb, but before you could do that you actually had to phone a telephone number. It was printed in the instructions with the game, and it gave you a phone number, and when you phoned this number it gave you a code. But what I can always remember doing was when I actually phoned the number, was there was a baby crying in the background, and it was just, you know, it was chilling, phoning a phone number and getting a baby crying in the background. And it was obviously they'd got an actor to sort of say, you know, this was the code to launch a nuclear warhead, and it was just it was very, very scary. So anyway, let's give it a go. I remember not being very good at this game. It's quite a complicated game, so see how we get on. Now I am obviously the blue and red is Warsaw Pact. You can see there we're in Europe. Now what you can do is you can advance your guys, and when eventually they overlapped you would get conflict. Quite a simplistic game, but it was really more what the game was about that made the game quite unnerving to actually play. You know, you really have to think about, this game was released right in the middle of the Cold War, and that's what made this so scary. What else? Why can't I press space or something? Right, I can now attack. So let's so I'm now effectively attacking the Warsaw Pact here. Now I can take part in one of the battles. I think it was quite a crude mock-up. Now that sort of shows you what damage I've taken, so you can actually rebuild your troops. Right, let's just skip all that. Now, look at that, special mission phase. You can launch a strategic nuclear launch, a strategic chemical launch by pressing F7. Let's go for a chemical launch, which was F7. That's just pretty horrific stuff. Civilian deaths will be numerous. Thank you for your attention. Now there's the chemical warhead. It's just very, very cold, the fact that I've just wiped out a city. There we go, this is them launching an attack on us. Paris. Now, if that is not a chilling image, I don't know what is. Right, anyway, that's Theatre Europe. Yeah, I think that large mushroom cloud kinda says it all. It's a terrifying image, it really is. And I for one hope it never does happen, obviously. So yeah, listen guys, that is it. I hope I've not upset anybody with this video. I realise it's not for everybody. It's quite a sobering video to put out, you know, especially one in a gaming channel. It's not really games related at all. I'm just going to leave you with some pictures that I took. In fact, just before I go, actually, I'm going to go back to this secret bunker. Not literally go back, but just talk about it. The secret bunker that I was at, as you'll see from the images, it takes you through the various rooms and offices that would have actually, that were there to be occupied by the government should the worst happen. So I'm going to let you see these images, and I'll just do a wee kind of commentary and maybe with some music over it as well. So yep, I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but here we go. Okay, this is taken from the secret bunker. Now this is actually in a place called Anstruther in Fife in Scotland. Now I don't know whether these vehicles were put outside just for effect or whether these would have actually been there, I'm not too sure. Apologies about the thumb at the top left. But yeah, when you're actually there and you see these kind of vehicles up close, it's frightening just the fact that these were actually there for a reason. You know, they weren't just there for show, for a museum or anything. I mean, they were actually there to be used. I think that's what makes it quite as terrifying as it actually is. Now, when you come in the main entrance, you know, you go through a little door and you go down some steps, and this is what's facing you. As you walk along, I mean, it's quite claustrophobic. I mean, apparently the walls are 10 feet thick concrete. So you walk, this is actually going downhill, you walk down this corridor. And then eventually you get to what's called the blast doors. These were doors that were actually closed. Once people were inside, the doors were closed and there was no way you could get back out. This was the security office that was used. Now they did tell you that security were primed that unless you appeared on an approved list, you would be taken outside. You know, it was a shoot to kill policy. This was the security office sort of bedroom if that's the right word to use. As you can see, it's all pretty sparse. The one thing that you get that you can't convey with photos is the overall sense of claustrophobia. It feels really, you feel like the walls are closing in on you. Now this is on the first level. These red doors are called the blast doors. They're apparently 2 tons each in weight, and these doors are pulled together to basically seal the bunker, stop anybody getting in and anybody getting out. What made it quite, I don't know what's the word, what made it feel real, if that's the best phrase to use, was the fact that me and my wife were the only 2 people in the place, so we really felt like we'd sort of wandered in and we shouldn't have been there. This was one of the rooms where they were actually, you can basically make out the shape, you can see the map of Great Britain. This was used to try and decipher where and when missiles would land and what sort of impact they would have. And what is quite scary, I mean, this bunker was opened in, I think it was 1939, something like that. It was open right through. So a lot of the equipment you see is very old fashioned, but what's to me making it even more scary is the fact that there's a lot of equipment that was very much 80s, so you'd realise just how current this thing actually was. So that's looking down on the actual map. This was the doctors. They had one doctor, or did they have, was it 1 or 2, I can't remember exactly. I think they had maybe 2 doctors on site, and this was exactly what the doctor's room would have looked like. Don't know if that's a doctor there that's turned into a skeleton or not, but now this was at the top end of a dormitory. and you'll see in a second, it was all just bunk beds, and these were where the sort of personnel used to sleep. Now this was actually the recording studio that was set up by the BBC, and this would have been used to make public broadcasts. So while we were all banged up in our homemade air shelter, the BBC would put out broadcasts advising what was actually happening. Actually, you can possibly see in the centre of the picture Faslane and Coolport. Now, one thing I completely missed to tell you, which was another part of my experience, was Faslane was the military base where the nuclear submarines were based, where they were serviced, etc., and where they were actually loaded. Now, just to the east of Faslane is a place called Coolport. Now, that was actually used to house missiles when they're being put together and being repaired, etc. I actually worked in Coolport in 1988 when this thing was still in full flow, so it was quite terrifying actually taking part, actually being employed in one of these areas. But you can see there, Coolport and Faslane are right in the west coast of Scotland, and even to this day there are still missiles there. Now at Faslane there's a sort of world famous peace camp. Basically, well, for want of another word, hippies set up a peace camp with caravans, etc., and it was there for years and years and years. This was when the C&D were in sort of full swing. This was the chapel in the secret bunker. Now, this desk was actually the Secretary of State for Scotland's desk, I believe. Now, what made this particularly chilling was it actually tells you when you're walking the secret bunker, there's a sort of a telephone thing that you get to listen to, and it gives you a sort of a commentary telling you where you are and what happened. Now, basically, this room was where the Secretary of State sat. Now, what it said was that this guy was both he was respected and feared in equal measures, because this guy basically had the power to decide whether somebody lived or died. Somebody lived or died. And what they said was that in the event of a nuclear war, anybody that was deemed too ill, too old, too young, they only had a finite amount of medicine, morphine, power, painkillers, etc. So they would decide what people should really just be shot, because they didn't want to give medicine to somebody who probably wouldn't survive. So this person that occupied this office actually had the power to determine who would live and who would die, and that's to hear that is pretty scary. Sorry, it's a Minister of State. Now this was part of the main sort of control hub. In the centre there's a large map, and off this room there are various offices. You can see there on the left there's an office. This is the main, it reminds me like the thing in Star Wars but this is the main sort of map, and off this area there are various rooms, and on the right you've got the Ministry of State's office here, so he could actually look out to see just what was happening. But you can see on the left hand side there's a bed. I mean, it's, you know, this is where people were going to be holed up for months and months and months. You know, you just have to look at that. It's pure 1980s. Big computers, chunky printers, big screens, etc. This was the main sort of admin centre where all the messages came in and out. Now they told us apparently there was 2,000 phone lines dedicated to this one bunker. Obviously this would have been manned, you can see there, 24 hours a day. All these offices, all these bunkers would have been in touch with London and all other bunkers throughout the UK. Just again, that's looking inside the Minister of State office. There was various offices. This guy obviously had to determine the weather, which would determine, you know, where the fallout would actually land and how far it would actually blow. It all looks very, very basic when you look at it now, but this is what they had. Now this was the armoury room, where obviously guards were given weapons and they would shoot people, you know, if they were going to pose a danger. It's quite frightening actually seeing stuff like this up close and personal. An Uzi submachine gun. Yeah. The only good thing when you're looking at all this kind of stuff is you've got the knowledge that this was never actually, I mean, this, although this was manned all the time, it was never actually used, because obviously we've never had a nuclear bomb drop in the UK, and I hope that remains. I mean, it just seems all so very dated. I mean, a lot of this, I think this particular room was probably way, I don't know, mid-50s. So it was, you know, it was pre-computers. This was the radar room. You can see all the radar screens that were constantly monitoring the skies of the UK. This was the main sort of telephone communications room. On the sort of right hand side here you can see the ribbon cables which was spat out from that machine. Yep, that is the photos, guys. That is the underground bunker, which is in Anstruther in Scotland. Right, that's it. Thanks for watching this video. I would really love to have any comments. You know, not what you think of the video, but just what you think of the, you know, this whole subject in general. It's something that I hope never ever happens. I mean, I think that would literally be the end of the world as we know it, to quote REM, I think it was. So anyway guys, listen, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video and you want to see some retro games getting played. Please feel free to like, comment and subscribe. And as usual guys, thank you very much for watching.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed that. If you happen to watch it, then I hope you enjoyed it. It's maybe not a video you can enjoy as such, but I'm proud of it. I think it's quite a good video. I enjoy watching it anyway. So the second one, and this is probably the most obvious one, it's blimey, it's only Dominic Diamond. Now, Dominic Diamond, if you're sort of older than 20 years old, chances are you watch Games Master. Dominic Diamond was the presenter, the guy from Scotland. He came from a place called Arbroath. I watched Games Master. Dominic was a bit of an icon for video gamers back then. Had a great sense of humour. And with the advent of, social media, I added Dominic Diamond on my Facebook. And over, basically the next couple of years, I got talking to Dominic about running. As you probably know, I like to run. Now, Dominic was training for a half marathon. So I contacted him through Facebook and I offered to set up a training programme for him. So we were in touch just kind of through Facebook, and that was it. And then one day I thought to myself, I wonder if he would be up for a Blimey It's Only. So I contacted him, and fair dues, he came back to me and he says that he gets asked to do a lot of these kind of videos, interviews, and he doesn't really do them anymore. He's kind of moved on. But he said that because I'd helped him and because I was a fellow Scot, he would be delighted to get interviewed. So I did, and I've got to say, I've never been as nervous ever phoning somebody in Skype to talk to them. He couldn't do the video part, so it is an audio only. But I think it's a video that anyone that's seen it has said to me they think it's really good. The banter between us, I think, was really good. I mean, after 5 minutes of talking, I was quite nervous to begin with. After 5 minutes, I felt at ease with the guy. It was like talking to my mate in the pub. So I really enjoyed it. I mean, he said to me he could spare half an hour. This thing ran on for an hour. So that just kind of shows you there was a bit of chemistry going on. Really enjoyed it. So anyway, this is my Blimey It's Only talking to Dominic Diamond. I hope you enjoy it.
Alan?
Hello.
That's better. Okay, let me turn this in.
Fantastic.
How are you, mate?
How you doing, Squire?
I'm okay, so I'm a little bit late, but...
No, not a problem. Listen, sorry about the slight mess up. I think what we didn't factor in when we organised this was the bloody clocks went forward on Sunday. So I'm sitting here at 6 o'clock and it's only 1 o'clock in Canada. So...
that's my fault getting the time wrong.
You know, I didn't even know. It was only when the wife told me on Sunday night that the clocks were going forward I remembered as well. So listen, Dominic, I really do appreciate you taking time out to speak to me. I'm going to keep it quick. I know you've only got about half an hour or something, you reckon, eh?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, fantastic. So I've tried to make it quite humorous. I'm sure you'll take it in the sort of the spirit it's intended. I hope you do anyway. It's good stuff. So anyway, we'll just make a start. So listen, Dominic, thank you very, very much for joining me. I'm delighted to welcome probably the most famous gaming icon, purveyor of fine beards, double entendres, sheepskin jackets, and king of the put-down, Mr. Dominic Diamond. Welcome, sir.
That's a wonderful eulogy. I like that.
I could sell it. I could do it for you for a price. Well, anyway, listen, Dominic, thank you very much for taking time out to join me. I know you're always a busy man. I think you're on air in about, is it 5 hours time? Something like that, is it?
In Canada, yes.
Is
yes.
it?
Oh, I always get my times confused.
It's probably a Scottish thing, mate, so don't worry about it. Good stuff. So anyway, kicking things off, Dominic, a surname like that, you were surely destined for great things, don't you think?
Do you know, it's interesting you ask that, Alan, because my real name is Paul Dominic Diamond. And
yes.
From an early age, I decided I wanted to be called Dominic instead of Paul because there was 2 other Pauls in the class. And I thought at the time it sounded really cool and showbizy. But I think the older I've got, the more I hate my name, because it's really hard to say quickly on the radio. And see, like when you come over to a new country, when people don't know, you've got to say, hi, it's Dominic Diamond. And it's just like, I wish I'd called this, but like Paul Diamond would have been so much easier. And I actually think Paul Diamond sounds cooler than Dominic Diamond, because Dominic Diamond as well sounds made up and nobody believes that it's a real name. See, like Neil Diamond was sensible because he had the diamond, he kept the first name short. Anne Diamond, there's another great, Jim Diamond. They all kept first name short.
I've actually got a guy that works for me. His name is Desmond Diamond. So there you go. If you think you were bad with Dominic.
Des Diamond.
Des Diamond. That's his name.
Diamond. That's great. That's bad.
No relation, I take it, Dominic, no?
No.
Excellent. Well, I know you've been in Canada. Is it 5 years now? I think you've been in there? Across there?
Do you know what? Actually, it's it's 6. It's over 6 years.
Is it really?
Now.
Wow.
January 2009, I came over.
Yeah.
Years now.
Good stuff. Is there anything you miss about Scotland, like Iron Brew, deep fried Mars bar suppers, pish weather?
And I miss Iron Brew. Definitely miss Iron Brew. And I miss going to see the Celtic. I miss mountains. There are mountains in Canada somewhere. But like I'm thousands of miles away from them. They're over like the west coast. So I miss mountains. I miss the Highlands.
That's the thing about living. I mean, I live in Livingston, which is obviously central Scotland, and I mean, you're literally half an hour from, or 40 minutes from Mulgai, you know, and then you're up in the West Highland Way. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. So, good stuff. So, anyway, you hail from the home of the famous smoked fish, the Smoky, and am I right in thinking that you're probably Arbroath's most famous son? I can't think of anybody else.
I think you might be. I think Andy Stewart, I think, was maybe from Arbroath.
Was he really?
Singer. I know that, who was the great runner? Liz McColgan. She was from close to Arbroath. I think just outside it.
Right.
But yeah, it's not been a hotbed of superstars.
Of talent. The people at Arbroath, actually, apart from your family and close friends, the people, if you were to, I mean, the people that are from Arbroath know about you? I'm guessing anybody my age would probably, obviously from Gamesmaster.
Oh yeah, I think that they I think that they like me all right. I'm still related to 90% of the time. It'd be difficult finding. Do you know what? The thing about a place like Arbroath, though, it's like everybody knows each other anyway, so it doesn't really matter whether you've been on the telly or not. It's where everybody's famous, you know, because everybody knows each other and everybody's related to someone somehow, and everybody went to school with each other. So I probably know 90% of our. You know.
That's probably 15 people you're talking about then, obviously. The funny thing was, I go to job centres for a living. I sort of do inspections and that kind of stuff, and I was up in Arbroath Job Centre, and I was standing outside looking at the outside of the building, and one of the sort of DWP government persons came out and he started talking about football as you do. And I said, are you into football yourself? He says, yeah, I go to see Arbroath. I says, oh, right, yeah. I said, you got a season ticket? He says, I'm actually the chairman. I went, oh.
No way!
Seriously, he works in the job centre.
Now, if that job centre is in the same place that it used to be...
Charmer Street.
That is right beside my Granny Diamond's house.
Really?
Yep, and right beside one of the schools I used to go to, Lady Loan School. So yeah, that's where the job centre was. Yeah.
So I can't see Alex Ferguson working in a job centre somehow. No. He might be there enough now that he's not with Man United, but you never know. So anyway, do you think they're ever going to erect a large statue in Arbroath with your name in it? I think you deserve that.
I would like to think of a large erection of me in my hometown.
I think that's definitely justified. I think
even just a small erection would be.
When you get to our age, Dominic, you'll take anything.
The only problem is because Arbroath's a seaside town, it would just be a place for the seagulls to shit. That's the only problem about statues there.
Good stuff. I believe did you start? Now this is from Wikipedia, so it must be true. I believe you started. You studied drama at Bristol University, and you also attended. You also went to obviously university. Was it David Walliams? He was there as well, apparently.
David Walliams, Simon Pegg as well. They were. Yeah, Simon was in the same year as me.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of the same courses together. David was in the year below me, but we did a lot of comedy stuff together.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of very talented people, and even on the other side of the camera, like there's a guy called Richard Stokes who was the producer of the brilliant TV drama with Doctor Who in it with I can't believe it. Broadchurch.
Oh, right, yeah, I know. Yeah.
The producer of that, and so there's a lot of guys who ended up doing really, really well behind the camera from that year. It was a really good year. It was a good creative bunch of people.
Yeah, and you had a comedy troupe called David Icke and the Orphans of Jesus. Is that
Like David Walliams was in that. Simon Pegg was in that as well. Jason Bradbury, who went on to be on the Gadget Show.
Yeah, aye.
As well, actually, that was good. I basically wanted to set up because I was doing a lot of stand up at the time, and just wanted a way that I could make more money out of it, and so I put this on, and it's amazing to think of the likes of Simon and Dave being in it, because I completely fleeced them, and I kept all the money. I kept all the door money, and I gave them something like 20 quid, and kept the rest because it was like management costs and everything. But it was we did some really, really good shows, and it was. I mean, David was always very good, but Simon Pegg was just different class. You could just tell that.
Yeah.
Back then, he had a persona of a lifeguard poet, and he would come on and he would do these wonderful, brilliant poems about his obsession with Diane Keaton and stuff like that. But in between, he would be acting out as if he was at the pool, and he'd be blowing his whistle and telling people to stop heavy petting and stuff like that. And he was a genius. You could tell, very talented.
Whatever happened to these no petting signs that used to get in swimming pools in the 70s? It's almost allowed now, because I don't see that anymore.
No, I had not seen it for a while either.
Yeah.
They don't have them in Canada. I don't know whether that's because nobody ever did it or because they don't see it's a problem. I will test it out next time.
And you can let me know. Good stuff. Excellent. Anyway, Dominic, moving on. How did the Games Master gig come about? Maybe did that all kick off?
It was just an unbelievable slice of luck, really. I was doing stand-up, and I was still at university, and then there was a TV show called The Word that was on, and they basically had an open search for a new presenter for that. So I applied, got down to the last 12, and then the people who were doing Games Master were a little bit cheeky, and they were in the same part of London as the company that did The Word, and they said, look, seeing as you've just interviewed like everyone, we're also looking for a new presenter. Could we borrow your notes? And is there anyone that you think would be right for this show? And luckily, one of the bosses there said, well, there's this guy who was, far too physically unattractive to get a job on The Word, but he might be right.
I don't believe that for a second.
So then I went along and met them and did an audition in the church that we ended up using for Series 1, comment on, it was a terrible football game played on the Game Boy. That was what my audition was commenting on a game played on the Game Boy.
It was blurred, you couldn't say anything.
That's it. And the thing is, and I think even then, I was using the innuendo in the waggling joysticks and all that. I think that just, for some reason, that just always seemed like the right way to go with that.
Brilliant stuff. I must admit, always as an avid fan of Games Master, like anybody my age group, it was quite, when it first started, when the accent came out, we're like, Christ, this guy's Scottish. You just automatically assumed it was going to be somebody English, but
That's an interesting point, actually. There wasn't a lot of Scottish people on TV back then, because even the likes of, I think Nicky Campbell had maybe just started at Radio 1, but the likes of Carol Smiley, none of them I think were particularly big nationally on TV yet. So that's interesting. I never thought of that.
There we go. So anyway, there was obviously a few other video game shows out there at the time. There was Bad Influence, which was like the little kid who always did his homework on time and got good exam results. Games World was the only child kid that was spoiled with the best clothes, but it was actually a complete dick who nobody really liked. And I think we could probably say Games Master was a likeable kid who dogged school on occasions, sniffed glue and had sex at 14 behind the school PE block. Do you think that kind of sums it up?
That's one of the most wonderful summations of the three shows I think I've ever heard. That's superb. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Excellent, good stuff. And obviously it was a massive success. It was at 7. Well, sorry, there was 6 good series, which we'll come to later on. Why do you think it was as successful as it was, Dominic?
I think because we didn't have anybody at any senior level in Channel 4 checking the show. And we really didn't. It was weird that we came up the sports department of Channel 4, bizarrely, and the guy, the head of sport, would never watched it. So they would just pass it. So as a result, we kind of got to bend rules and we got to be kind of quite surreal and creative. And I just think we got a level of freedom that I just don't think you normally get in TV shows. And we were very lucky. And we also had, again, there was a phenomenal backroom team and a lot, a very young team and just a lot of really clever, really hard-working people that came up with some good ideas when drunk and off their face from drugs.
And dare I say, I think the whole adult theme that ran, obviously, the undercurrent of the whole programme, that's what made it so enjoyable. I mean, I must admit, having watched the rerun, well, not reruns, I've downloaded them off the internet. It's incredible just how many actually managed to get in there, in half an hour.
Oh yeah, it's quite ridiculous looking back now on it. It's brilliant. I think it was great. I think we were very successful, but luckily we were not too successful. Yeah. I think if we had any more viewers, then people might have started noticing stuff, especially parents, and then we might have got into trouble. But it was good. We were just big enough, but not too big.
There's you got another one in there right away. Fantastic. Good stuff. I mean, does it surprise you now, Dominic, that obviously you're still, I mean, this little sort of feature that I've been doing, you were probably the most desired person for me to actually interview. I mean, you're obviously a sort of gaming icon, you always will be. I mean, does it surprise you that people still want to talk about Games Master and video games and waggling joysticks and whatnot?
I think it makes me feel great. It's great to do something that has that kind of legacy. I find it's a little bit of a shame that it shows the dearth of gaming TV shows that there's been since. That there isn't anything. It's like people, still talking about NYPD Blue as a cop show. It's like, yes, it was good, but since then you've had, CSI and NCIS and everything, but it just seems that there's been nothing since Games Master really that people have managed to attach themselves to, which is a shame. But I mean, that's British television bosses.
Yeah.
Because other countries do. I mean, America's always had video game shows and everything running, but it's just there for some reason. Britain doesn't. Yeah,
I mean, they reckon that the gaming industry brings in like more money than Hollywood, and yet there's not a single, program on TV about it. It's just
I don't think there will be now, because I think that audience is so spectacularly overserved by the internet now and by YouTube.
I think you're right, yeah.
That it's just that there would be no reason for anybody to watch a Games Master now, because every single aspect is just... I am just gobsmacked by the amount of stuff on YouTube about games and, and game humour and everything. It's just that, I love like when people will take things like Halo and revoice it and make comedy skits out of it. That's fantastic. All that stuff. It's great,
Good stuff. I mean, you've obviously answered my next question. You don't think that kind of format would work nowadays?
No, I don't think there's a need. I don't really think there's a need for it now. I mean, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I mean, they had the chance recently when Future Publishing bought the rights for the TV show off of Jane Hewland, and they tried to get it remade, and they publicly said from the beginning that they weren't going to involve me, which was a little bit naughty of them. But nobody wanted to do it. Nobody wanted to pick up the show. So I think
that just kind of confirms what you're talking about. The internet's really taking over everything now. So good stuff. So you've already mentioned this. Watching reruns, I'm amazed at how many double entendres and innuendos that you're managed to put in. Obviously, some are pretty near to the knuckle, who are misses. Obviously, most of your audience and participants were completely unaware of what was being said. I mean, watching back some of them, and you're coming out, you're saying to wee kids, you're going to go upstairs and waggle your joystick in your bedroom, and the kid, his eyes were glazed over, he was completely unaware of what you're actually saying to him. Were you guys ever worried that you're going to get complaints, or did you realise, wait a minute, we're getting away with this, let's just keep going and let's take it as far as we can possibly take it?
I think that's interesting, because I don't think you could get... Well, I know you couldn't get away with that stuff now because of post, Jimmy Savile and Operation... I think that they, little did I know that I was the only guy on telly who wasn't a paedophile. And I think the horrible side of that, I don't think you could you could make innuendo stuff like that now in front of young people, because you wouldn't get more than one episode. So we were lucky that we lived in a more innocent time then.
Aye, absolutely. I'm guessing if Games Master went out at 8 o'clock on a Friday night on BBC One, then it would have to have been completely tamed down, and you would probably got the sack, and they would have brought in Vernon Kay or something. Eh?
That's right. Yes, yes, they would have. Vernon Kay. Or Jeremy Clarkson or something like that.
I heard he's looking for a job apparently. So
do you know my Clarkson story? And this is I've been telling it to a few people over here in Canada, because Top Gear's massive over here. Top Gear and Coronation Street are two of the biggest TV programs in Canada, right? It's completely bizarre. So, and people kept saying to me, so do you know Jeremy Clarkson? And I said, let me tell you my Jeremy Clarkson story. Years ago, the BBC came to me with an idea for a TV show called Robot Wars. And I was like, oh yeah, this sounds great. Like, we really want you to present it, Dominic, because of Games Master. Yeah, it sounds great. So we did. The pilot for the show we did as a live performance in a warehouse opposite the BBC in front of all the BBC executives, and it was one of the toughest things I ever had to do in my life technically. And I did it, and we nailed it, and they commissioned it, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then I get the phone call saying, yeah, the BBC think they want a bigger name, so they're giving it to Jeremy Clarkson instead. And they took it, and that show became huge. So that's my Jeremy Clarkson story. Bastard.
Unbelievable. Dear me. Yeah, excuse me. Let's see. I've heard in a previous interview that Channel 4, obviously, but again you've mentioned this, that Channel 4 had no idea as to the actual content, and they were probably just interested in the sort of soaring rating viewers. They were happy because they're pulling in the ratings.
Yep, they were happy. We got great ratings. They didn't really understand how or why, but they just thought, it's video games, and video games are really huge, so let's let them carry on. They were getting tons of money from the Games Master Club and everything like that, and then Games Master Live, so it was a great cash cow for them. And then they started to try and use us to help the other shows. Like, we were moved, and and I'm really unhappy, we got moved to before Hollyoaks. That was it. We were moved,
dear me.
6:30 till 6 o'clock, and that made a big difference to our ratings, because just that extra half an hour means more people are home from school and from work, and we were put in there as a warm-up to Hollyoaks, which was really annoying at the time. It was great for Hollyoaks, but it was, unfortunately, we took a ratings dip on that, and we didn't really come back from that, unfortunately.
I'm no doubt some of the Channel 4 executives would have probably looked back at some of the reruns of Games Master after it kind of went off air and went, did we say it's allowed this? Who allowed this?
I have no doubt at all.
Excellent. Excuse me. Obviously, the guests who appeared on Games Master over the years, it's like a who's of 90s Britain, from Hacksaw Jim Duggan to Danny Bear, Utah Saints to Bad Boys Inc. Who were they again? Did you actually get to sort of decide who came on the show, or was that kind of decided for you?
Oh no, we would all sit and all kind of throw in names that we thought would be good, footballers especially, and that we were always, we were really keen on getting them. I don't think there was never I'm trying to think if there was ever a guest we had on that I had said beforehand, no, I do not want these. The only time I was against the guest was when we did that stupid one where we had the fake RoboCop and the fake John Major, and
I remember that one. Did you all come on a boat or something? I think.
I remember going, "Oh no, this is a really shit decision," and actually we were saved by how bad that they were in terms of us lookalikes and soundalikes. I think that saved us, because it was so bad it was good in the end. But I think I kind of didn't think it was very cool to take that on at the time, but I mean, they were fantastic. They were great guys, and that was, probably the biggest guests that we ever had on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it would be interesting, because I think that if the show was out today, I think the caliber of guests you would get would be mind-blowing. I'm thinking you could get Messi on if they were launching FIFA. The caliber of football player you would get, that would be brilliant. That's the biggest shame of it not being on just now. I think celebrity guest.
Going through all the sort of games, I didn't physically watch them all, but all my wee kind of Games Master files have got names and as to who appeared. I noticed Vinnie Jones appeared 4 times. Was it because he was a class act, or was everybody simply too shit scared to tell him to piss off?
No, Vinnie Jones would Vinnie Jones would do anything, right, if you gave him the money. Vinnie Jones literally used to answer his phone, and instead of saying hello, he would say, "How much?" So it would be, we'd get to the stage where it would be like, okay, right, which footballers are we going to have on? How about Vinnie Jones? Oh, we can't have Vinnie on again, right? Okay, fine. So we'll book 4 others, and then on the day it'll be like, oh shit, Andy Cole's dropped out or whatever. Okay, you know what that means? Yep. Just feel it out in your wallets. How much cash have we got? Let's have a whip round and phone up Vinnie Jones.
What's we got in the petty cash? Oh, that'll be enough.
Vinnie Jones, without a shadow of a doubt, made more money than anyone else on Games Master, probably more than me.
I can always remember seeing him. I can't remember what game he was playing in one of the first challenges, and the wee guy that he was playing looked genuinely terrified if he beat him.
Oh, he's a scary guy. It's
he
funny,
does look scary. Aye.
Yeah, my kids were hugely impressed. My kids are too young to know Games Master. I mean, they know of it now, but my 2 youngest, who are 9 and 10, and we were watching the TV show Arrow.
Aye.
And Vinnie Jones was in that recently. He had like a 3-episode arc as a major bad guy, and my kids were so impressed. They're like, oh, yeah, I had him on my old show. No way, you had someone who's a bad guy on Arrow on your show? But he's scary. He's a very scary.
He does look pretty mean. Who was the biggest twat celebrity guest?
The Motivator. Mr. Motivator, beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Really? Why was that? Because
he was just
ridiculous outfit, or was it something else?
You know, I think the problem is that when you dress like that, you would expect someone to have more of a sense of humour, but he was just the most humourless, grumpy bastard in the world.
Really?
Oh, he was just, you know, and then the minute the camera went on, he'd be all smiles and everything, and then when the camera went off, just sullen.
Just completely false.
Yeah, and it was, as you can imagine, it was a very happy set to be on, and then just this little kind of totem of grump that was the Motivator. So yeah, no, he wasn't my favourite.
So you never emptied the petty cash to get him back then, I take it? No,
we didn't.
So there was always a lot of top totty appeared in it over the years. Especially, what was the famous one? Was it riding she's married to Fatboy Slim.
Oh, Zoe Ball.
Aye, was she on a large motorbike, I think?
Oh, Zoe Ball doing MotoGP. Oh my God, that was great. What was great about that was because I knew Zoe at the time because I had done something on the radio with her, and then I'd actually just auditioned for the Big Breakfast at that time with her. So she knew the show, and we knew each other, and I knew she was up for it. And I'd said to her, let's. I'm going to really push the naughtiness on this one if that's okay with you. She's like, yeah, no, it'll be cool. So that's how when it was something about riding on the back, and she was like, oh yeah, I like one up the back, and it was just unbelievable levels. That was, yeah.
I think the innuendo scale went up to 11 for that episode, if I recall.
You're basically doing anal sex gags with one of the biggest stars the channel has. Then you know you've made it.
Was there any memorable contestants? I can always remember there was this little guy. He brought in a variety of his homemade joysticks, depending on what challenge he was going to get, and I think he absolutely failed miserably. I don't know if you remember him.
I don't remember that guy. I remember Martin Mathers.
Was that the James Bond character?
Yes, yes. Doing the I can't remember what the shooting game was at the time.
Virtual Cop, I think it was, double-handed.
That was phenomenal. That was absolutely brilliant. My favourite ever challenge, though, was, and this was season 2, actually, was when Jimmy White had to clear up on a real snooker table quicker than the computer did on Jimmy White's Whirlwind Snooker.
That's right, I remember that one.
And I thought that for me was the perfect challenge. It was the real kind of, man versus machine thing.
Right.
And that was fascinating on so many levels. That was my favourite challenge.
Yeah. Excellent. How much sort of practice were the contestants given? Did they get a wee shot of the game beforehand, or was it did they go in blind?
Oh no! Because a lot of them knew weeks before and everything. That's what
right.
that. So, I think it would depend. If it was like a newer game, then they wouldn't. But by and large, no, they'd know what they were doing.
They knew what they'd done. Good stuff. Was there ever a challenge where somebody failed and they thought, nah, fuck it, we'll redo it so that he wins, or vice versa? Was there any challenges fixed at all? Or?
Well, I couldn't possibly comment.
Without the solicitor.
It might not be too outlandish if I said that time Uri Geller was on pretending to play the game just using the power of his mind. That might not have been 100% genuine. There might have been a researcher underneath the game playing it for him.
It was like these on like Saturday Superstore. They used to have these like video game challenges, and I always thought it was incredible that somebody could control it by saying left, right, down, up, and there was always that resetting delay, not realising there was like a monkey with a joystick pushing it to the response.
That's right. Well, the thing is that, yes, you would sometimes, not as often as you would think. There would be occasionally we would redo a challenge, because at the end of the day, it was about providing good television. if you've got three people trying to, collect so many rings on Sonic and they all die within 7 seconds, then that's going to just be shite TV. So you would redo it then. But if we ever did anything like that and say the result went the other way,
yeah.
You'd always make sure that the person who won originally would get a golden joystick as well. I mean,
right. Do you actually want a golden joystick, Dominic, or were they all used up?
I do not have one. I can't believe why I didn't take one.
You never got one? Oh, wow.
I never, ever got one. So it's a shame that actually. I wish I had, but no, I don't have.
And am I right in thinking they were just literally like, was it Quick Shot 2 joysticks painted gold or something, was it?
Gold. That was it.
Excellent. Am I right in thinking that you never actually met the Games Master himself, Mr. Patrick Moore?
I did, on the very, very last day of filming, I met him. I met him once, and it literally was, I was walking out, he was walking in, and I spoke to him for about 5-10 minutes about cricket, because I knew he was a big cricket fan. And there was something perfect about that, because it was nice. It was a really nice little kind of moment. I genuinely was. I was very sad when he died, because... Yeah. I kind of felt really close to him all these years, and the amount of messages I got on Twitter and Facebook of condolences to me, I was touched. I was touched for two reasons. One, as to how many people were mourning the loss of him because of Games Master, as well as the Sky at Night, but also just how people were offering me their condolences, and it was a really, really sweet moment.
Indeed, aye. Excuse me. Obviously, you moved away after after Series 2. Was it? Am I right in thinking was that down to the decision they wanted to take McDonald's on as their main sponsor?
Yes, that was that. Yeah. Me about it, and I was very anti McDonald's at the time for reasons that you all have when you're young and firebrand. It was a very naive decision in retrospect, because. That's the way it's in it, because sponsorship was just starting to come in TV, but like you couldn't take a stand like that these days. It's just that everything is sponsored. I mean, I do I do commercial radio where there's ads for all kinds of companies that I wouldn't necessarily use or agree with, but it's just it's just I thought it was a cool principled thing to do at the time.
Well, fair play. You stood by your reasons, and you obviously turned the third one down. Mr. Dexter Fletcher, I mean, he was always on a hiding to nothing, trying to fill your boots. I mean, I remember watching it, and it was just, no disrespect to the guy, I've never seen the guy before, but he was never ever going to fill your boots.
No, and I think it was an interesting choice, because he was so Cockney, and you said about the Scottishness and the accent, so I think that... what Scotland's like, where it's so unbelievably supportive of any Scottish person doing anything. So I think that every single Scottish Games Master fan immediately went, "Oh, who's this fucking English prick?" So I would have been interested to see if they'd got another Scottish person. It might have been better, or even said to Dexter, because he's a very good actor. Okay, here's the deal, Dexter. You've got to do it in a Scottish accent. Then I think, but it was just, welcome to Guys Master!
And the less said about his green bloody onesie, but anyway.
Well, I'm the last person to talk about outfits worn on...
I deliberately wasn't going to mention that, but anyway. So anyway, you seem to have an uncanny knack of taking the piss out of contestants' attire or hairstyles, mostly without any comeback. Although I'm sure there was one wee guy, I think you had a go at him with his hairstyle, and I think he had a wee go back about your dress sense or your hair. Can you remember that one?
I could not. I've obviously psychologically blotted that out. That's too hurtful.
You took him down to the basement and got him shot forthwith. Yeah. So what became of the red jacket? Did you keep that?
That was the other thing that was bad, was that they burned it. And on the very first episode Dexter Fletcher did, he held up my burnt jacket and said, "This guy's burnt out." Which I thought was really, and I think and Jane Hewland, the boss, will look back on that and was like, "Do you know what? Actually, we shouldn't have done that." So I think they were understandably a bit pissed off that I'd taken their.
So that was the red jacket that they burned. Unbelievable.
Burnt, yeah.
I'm going to write a letter of complaint to Channel 4. I think that's terrible. Aye, do you still, obviously there was multiple presenters, etc. Do you still keep in touch with them at all? You know, even through the sort of social media and that kind of stuff. I mean, Kirk Ewan, he was one of my favourites. Obviously, he was kind of the king of deadpan, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, Kirk was one of my best friends then. Still one of my best friends now, and you know, my kids and his kids and everything. I grew up very close. Mm-hmm. Johnny Finch, who was the producer, who wasn't one of the commentators, but he was one of the producer. I still keep in touch with him. Rick Henderson as well. I'm still in touch on Facebook. And a lot of them, and even the likes of, like a lot of the reviewers, like Julian Rignall and Frank O'Connor and all that. I'm still in touch with all those guys on.
Yeah. That's the thing with social media now. It's impossible not to kind of stay in touch with these guys.
The only person that how I would love to be in touch with who I'm not is Derek Lynch. I've no idea where Derek is, and he was just the funniest, happiest, smiliest guy.
He was in like the Namco or something, was it?
That's right, yeah. From
I remember him. Aye.
It's great, because what was great about Derek was Derek just honestly just couldn't stop laughing. Like, he would say it right. Honestly, Derek, listen, it's very flattering, mate, that you're laughing, but we've got to do a TV show as well. So it's just like laugh a bit and then just try and carry on. But he would just fucking lose it. He would corpse all the time. Derek would have to retake stuff because you said, did you ever have to retake any challenges? Yeah, sometimes only because Derek kept laughing too much.
Obviously, we've got to touch on a certain Mr. Dave Perry. Now, I did listen to an interview you did with, I think it was a bunch of Australian guys actually a couple of years ago, and you kind of admitted that you felt a little guilty about kind of what happened in that episode, that he was kind of perceived to be the kind of bad person.
I don't feel sorry about what happened in that episode, because I think that Dave's behaviour brought that on himself. I feel sorry, genuinely, how badly I slagged off that guy, and especially in interviews and everything like that. And it was just, I wasn't a particularly. There was some not nice parts of me back then as a human being, not helped by assorted substance abuse problems. And I think I said some absolutely despicably horrible, unforgivable things about that guy, which were just basically bullying, and I feel very, very guilty about it. But he was a dick. And so, that deserved everything that happened on that show. Absolutely. He brought that all on himself.
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously like many people watching it, and when he failed, I mean, he threw his toys at the pram. He had his wee kind of hissy fit. I mean, the funny thing is, looking back now, and through sort of rose-coloured spectacles, I mean, he was a complete arse. Really the way he sort of bigs himself up, and he was one of the sort of the top 100 most eligible bachelors and all this kind of shit. But guys like him were probably good for the industry back then. I mean, it kind of gave you the goodie and baddie type thing. You wouldn't get sort of colourful characters like him anymore, I wouldn't think.
But the worst thing was, I just wish, I think if Dave had been a bit more aware of that and had actually been prepared to kind of laugh at himself or send himself. But the biggest crime on that show was taking yourself seriously, and unfortunately he did, because he was just all about this Games Animal brand and everything, and and it just it's.
So it wasn't even a character that he portrayed, Dominic. You actually carried this persona into real life as well, then?
That was Dave.
Oh, right, I see. Aye.
That was Dave, unfortunately. But no, I wish I could go back and unsay a lot of the horrible things I said about him.
Okay, anyway, these things happen. What prompted Channel 4, Hewland, etc., to call it a day after Series 7? What was the reason behind that?
Well, we'd actually called it a day after Series 6, right? And we were like, because we wanted to go to a later time slot, because we were like, we thought we'd done everything we could. And it's getting really hard to think of new settings for the show. And so we'd said to Channel 4 we wanted to move to a later time slot and do a more adult take on it and kind of stretch things that way. And they said no. So we were like, well, okay, then that's it. And they literally called up and said, oh, we're just checking on the, delivery dates for the first episode of season 7. And we were like, well, we're not making a season 7. They're like, oh. No, we actually, and this is just there's so many things in the Games Master history that are just so perfectly random and things like, me leaving and Dexter Fletcher coming, that's all such a hugely important part of the Games Master.
Absolutely.
Just for the final chapter to be the last series was actually never supposed to happen. Channel 4 forgot to cancel it. That was basically it. They forgot to cancel it. And bearing in mind the channel that never watched any of the shows, that was just the ultimate sign to us of how little they cared. They cared so little they forgot to cancel the thing. So we had to literally get together and at very short notice think, okay, right, how are we going to do this final show? And I mean, how we managed to come up with that huge big desert island set in such a short space of time, because it was probably the biggest, most ambitious set, because we had to build it all from scratch. Normally, a lot of the stuff we had existing frameworks in the location, but this was just a bare studio. So, I think some people will say, oh, well, the last season was a bit self-indulgent, or it's a bit that. Well, it's because we knew it was the last one, and we were just like,
all guns blazing.
let's just have a laugh.
I mean, I personally think every single one got better and better and better and better, probably because it got more kind of laddish and that kind of stuff, but I certainly thought they got better.
So. Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, I certainly got more and more comfortable with it, and it over time, and yeah, I think it was more. I think what was great, without sounding too wanky, I think we would take some of the kind of like references, like bizarre, obscure literary references we would throw, and I just think I really tried to push it script-wise with it and make it more and more random and weird, and it's great. And again, it's really you don't get many opportunities to do that.
No.
So it was great. I loved that last series.
Yeah, oh, brilliant. So obviously after that kind of finished, you went on to do various other programmes, including was it Caledonian McBrain? I was trying to do that from memory. Was that a quiz show with, what's his face, Jim Macaulay or something? Not Jim Macaulay, Fred Macaulay. Jim Macaulay was in the Beechgrove Garden, wasn't he? That was
Scotland's attempt to kind of do a Have I Got News for You. They did one season and it tanked. Jim White was presenting it, so then they BBC Scotland. I didn't know this at the time. They'd already cancelled it. They said, "Oh no, but we're committed to a second series." So they got me to do that second series, and I mean that was fun. It was great.
Yeah.
With Fred and with Karen Dunbar, she was just fantastic. And one of the best things about that show was it was the first time I'd ever been in a writing room set up, where you sit each week and write topical gags with a team of writers. And we had Ricky Brown, who was writing it was a columnist at The Sun. We had Noddy, I can't remember Noddy's surname, but we also had a fresh-faced, up-and-coming comedian by the name of Frankie Boyle. And those afternoons in the writing room with Frankie Boyle, as you can imagine, were some of the greatest moments of my life. He was just, he's a genius. He's an absolute legend. When he wrote the foreword to my book, and when he agreed to do that, and I was so happy. And it's funny because Frankie would have days where you would just like, all his punchlines would be about mythological creatures, and you'd be like, oh, Frankie's on a mythological day, and it doesn't matter what we'd be talking about, his punchline would be genetically altered mermen, or the Minotaur. It's like, so that was a lot of fun. I wish we had more seasons of that.
Yeah, that's a shame. Obviously, you reappeared on our screens. I mean, it was always a very kind of sort of, it wasn't well known, Bravo channel, When Games Attack. Yes. How did that gig come about then, Dominic?
That was the same team behind Games Master.
What was it really? Was it Hewland again? Aye.
Well, it was two of the main guys. It was the producer Johnny Finch and the chief researcher Richard Wilcox, and they were at I can't remember the name of the production company. And so they spoke to me about doing another show, and yeah, again, that was unbelievable fun. We had a completely free reign to do what we liked. Some ridiculous foreign shoots that we went on.
Was that the one where I can't remember if it was that or Games Master, where you went to like a Japanese indoor beach and you were talking to the wee guy, you had your Celtic top on, you're talking to the wee guy about you hear to pull birds and he didn't understand a word you were saying.
That was Games Master, but that was one of my favourite bits in games. And we would always stick up these stupid subtitles and everything underneath. And it's just...
What was that the one you had to present a prize for cosplay? There was these people dressed up and like with socks on their head and things like that, was it?
It was pants, girls' pants on the
That's right.
panty man. It was I mean that was some of my most favourite moments on the show was going filming those foreign features where we would just go to America and Japan and just rip the piss out of people.
They probably had absolutely no idea what you were about, you know. What the hell's going on here?
None whatsoever.
Good stuff. I mean, I actually enjoyed when Games Attack even more than Games Master. I think just because you'd turned the laddish kind of humour up from 11 up to 13 and a half, you know. So
I think there was complete freedom in that. And I thought we had some really good ideas. Getting the Page 3 girls to do Dance Stage Megamix.
You're stealing my thunder here, Dominic. Yep, I was just going to say the Page 3 birds competing on, was it Dance Dance Revolution?
Yeah, that's it. That's Dance
was a stroke of genius. I'm guessing that was your idea.
Quite literally a stroke. Genius. I can't remember if that was mine or Johnny Finch's. I mean, Johnny came up with so many of the great ideas for Games Master, as did the director. Steve Wright. It was definitely Johnny's idea to have Queenie and Cuggly, the two like teddy bears, because they were his actual childhood teddy bears.
Is that right? Yeah.
That was it, and I thought it was the sweetest idea from him, and we had so much fun. You know, this is what I love about this industry, and there's a lot to hate, and it's a really industry to kind of carve out a career in, and there's lots of ups and downs, but the best thing about it is you keep falling into these situations where you get to work with just unbelievably funny, creative people. And I've been so lucky over the years to keep falling in with them, and it's great, you know.
Yeah, just a total fun. Good stuff. So did you ever manage to pull any of the birds?
I
to the Fifth Amendment.
I dated briefly one of the angels, and Helena from the Dark Haired Angel.
Oh, lovely.
Dated her for a while. She was a lovely girl, and I may have had a night out with Joe Guest, and she was a lovely girl as well.
Fantastic, excellent. Obviously, you had the pre-evolution challenge. Various foreigners and English people. I was gutted that Tosh McKinley wasn't asked to appear, but
that's right. Do you know what's so funny is that I think that because of the success of the Dance Stage Megamix thing, I think people forget there was actually a football challenge on that show.
Who actually won it? Was it not the Italian guy or something won it? I think.
Can't remember. I remember having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Who was the guy? And I kept calling him Pretty Boy.
Oh, I remember. I can't remember his name.
And there was all these jokes about. I was joking about him being gay, and then I think later on it turned out he was gay. It's like that's so. I was so embarrassed because I wouldn't have done that if I'd known he was gay, because that's just phobia. And then it's like, I'm really sorry. You know.
So listen, Don, I'm conscious of time running on. Have you got another 5 minutes? We'll just crack on very quickly with these last few questions.
No worries.
Excellent. What happened to the sheepskin jacket? Have you still got
that? I won't have it now. I had it until recently. I had it when I was in Nova Scotia, but we have moved so many times, and because of the radio stuff over here, that we've just shed more and more and more stuff all the time. So the sheepskin jacket is no more.
No.
I went to a charity shop, so hopefully some person who needs it more than me is wandering around in that sheepskin jacket now.
So Cuggly and Queenie, they were obviously the icons. They were the sort of the defining icons when Games Attack. They were like energy drinking, staffy-owned, tattooed hoodie fraternities, dealing drugs and whatnot. You've just told me where they came from. Are they now in landfill or a charity box, or you know?
No, Johnny Finch has got them.
He was back again. Good.
Oh yeah, because they were his childhood things, and he would actually die. I used to keep hiding them from him, and he would lose his shit completely. What's Queenie Cugley gone? But no. I would have loved to have actually come out with a range of Queenie and Cugley plush toys if the show had gone on and everything. But no, they were great. That was a great idea. Yeah. And do you know, it's like it's like everything else. It's, what the comedy in that is just you take two contrasting elements and you put them together. So we had Cugley toys doing drugs and selling drugs. It's brilliant.
So they never actually got harmed in the making of that feature.
Oh, not at all. They're addicts now. They're in recovery, but
good delight to hear that. Sadly, it only lasted one series. What was the reason for that? Do you know?
Honestly, I cannot even remember. That was for me. That was the nadir of my experimental drug phase, and I joking aside, it's a bit hazy that me, unfortunately. So I started to kind of straighten my shit out after that. So I honestly, it's terrible to say, I honestly cannot remember.
Can't remember, yeah.
It's much the same way as Channel 4 forgot to cancel Games Master. I have forgotten why they cancelled When Games Attack. No idea. I mean, maybe they didn't. Shit, maybe I'm just really, really late.
They're just thinking a bit late, aye.
That's it.
Do you still get time to play video games with the kids and you play a bit of Xbox 360?
Yep, I do. I'm I'm a hopeless FIFA addict, and I hate myself for it. Because I hate the FIFA franchise. I hate the way they release the game every year and it's bugged and bits of it don't work. And I hate the amount of money I spend on those fucking packs on FIFA Ultimate Team. It's like, but playing FIFA is like, it's like that really dirty girl back at school that everyone had, and you would cop off with her and you would be like, oh great, but then you'd feel really dirty. That's what I feel like every time I play FIFA. But I play it pretty much every friggin' day. I also what I do now is I go back whenever I see like great games from a couple of years ago that are down to like about $5.99. I download them on Xbox and I play through them. So I just played through what's the name of it? The first game is the guy's wife and kid get killed. He's the fucking hell, what's it called? The guy who's got a beard and Anyway,
Last of Us.
No, not Last. No, actually, I got Last of Us.
That's excellent.
I started playing Last of Us and I loved it, but I got to the one bit and it's near the start, but it was like about 4 different kinds of zombies and some kind of underground thing, and it took me like about 3 or 4 goes and I still hadn't got past it, and I've got no patience now with games. So I took the huff with The Last of Us, which was a shame. And so what is it? I also started playing recently BioShock Infinite. I started playing that.
I played that myself, I
thought that world was beautiful, the world they created. But see, the problem is that the time thing with my kids, like my oldest kid is 16, and so it's all about, and you know this, Alan, it's all about trying to get out of college just now.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Kids are so selfish. They take up a lot of your game time. They really do, with their needs, like education and feed me and buy me clothes, So it's because when I get into a game, I've got to finish it, right? I will sit and just play it and play it and finish it. And that's how there's a lot of games that I just, unless I've got like a vacation time for a week, then I daren't even start playing them.
Because you're not going to get time to finish it. Aye.
It's like all the GTA games, I'm buying them on the first day, playing through them, stuff like Call of Duty and everything. Once I start playing them, I'm absolutely hooked. So, so it's dangerous. And it's also bad with kids. Like my wife goes mental if I'm playing GTA 5 when the kids are around, for reasons. And because that's got worse. Because I remember playing GTA 4 with my oldest kid watching all the time, and I thought that was all right. But GTA 5, it's just like a level of nasty darkness.
Aye. I must admit, GTA 5 is the first kind of GTA game I've actually played, and to be honest with you, I mean, I like just, I don't get a chance to play video games very often, but I'll actually just put it on, I'll think, right, I'm going to steal a motorbike and I'm going to drive up to the top of that hill, then I'm going to drive down and go for a swim, kill a guy in a motorboat, and I just fucking do things. I was actually chilling out on a beach, and the water was coming in, and this is fucking amazing, you know, it's incredible.
It's great, and I love what they've done in terms of a fully immersive sandbox lifestyle that they managed to create in those games. It's absolutely Max Payne! That's the game!
Oh, Max Payne, that's the one, aye.
Max Payne 3 I just finished, and that was like me for 3 straight days playing that, and I thought that was a phenomenal game. What console was that on, Dominic? Is that the
Xbox
360? Yeah.
Oh, let me have a look for that. Right, Max
Payne. It was like $7.99 or something like that.
Aye. Oh, fantastic. So, Spectrum or Commodore 64?
Spectrum.
I believe, in fact, I knew the answer to that one. I believe Penetrator. That was the first game your mum bought for your Spectrum. Is that correct?
You could tell there was obviously a sense of destiny in that. My entry into the world of video games was the biggest double entendre title in the history of gaming. Penetrator, and the second one was Horace Goes Skiing, which was just so shite. People bought that. Horace Goes Skiing. What an absolute load of fish it was. And then from then, Manic Miner and Jet Set Willy, Pajama Rama, Daley Thompson's Decathlon. I mean, all those games were just brilliant on the Spectrum. Phenomenal.
I mean, I still like a lot of my sort of the retro, or I don't like to call them retro games because they're not retro to me, they're just games. But, you know, I still love the games. They're just so easy to play, and, you know, they're sort of kind of pick up type thing, you know, so.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and all those kind of ultimate games, Attic Attack and Saber Wolf and Head Over Heels, are just brilliant. The amount of what was great about that time was that technology didn't really increase very quickly on that front for a couple of years, so they actually had to squeeze every little bit they could out of these tiny machines. And as a result, the creativity, the likes of your Jeff Minter and his Attack of the Mutant Llamas and things like that.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is I think that we're now finally getting back to that level of quirkiness because of all the app games that people are making on phones, you know, in the independent section, which is fantastic just now.
That's right. I mean, one of my mates actually, in fact, I interviewed him last week. He's actually written a game called The Wicked Father, and basically it's on the Atari 2600 or Atari VCS as we called it. It's got something like 1K memory, and this game, the father kills his children and he's got to escape without drowning. He turns the tap on and he's going to drown, and this thing's got music, it's got the graphics, and it's written in, what he said to me was apparently when you open a Word document with nothing on the screen, that's probably 4 times as much memory as this bloody game takes up. It's incredible.
Oh, that's amazing.
Good stuff. Excuse me. Obviously, when games attack, am I right in thinking that was kind of the last foray into the world of video games, Dominic?
Yep,
that was the last one. Yeah. Then obviously you helped launch, is it XFM Scotland in 2006, I think it was?
Yep.
And you won 2 awards, the Scottish Radio Presenter of the Year award and the Scottish Radio Awards, and then later the Sony Radio Award in 2007.
Well, I got 4th in that. I was on the shortlist. I didn't win. I think Chris Evans might have won it that year.
Chris who? Sorry, who? I never heard of the guy. Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I'm a bit of a rocker, you know. I like my heavy metal and that kind of stuff, and I mean, I loved the channel. I mean, it had a real kind of humorous, edgy kind of flavour to it, and the music was obviously firmly in the indie rock type category, with, as you've said yourself, people playing guitars when you can actually hear them. I mean, so that launched, you were the kind of behind a lot of the kind of Fratellis and that kind of stuff, getting their kind of first real kind of exposure. Is that right?
No, totally. It's one of the things I'm the most proud of was how we, Fratellis, Biffy Clyro, The View.
The View as well, yeah.
The most fantastic time for Scottish music, and it was just thrilling, absolutely thrilling to be part of that. It was the best time we could have possibly been in, and even outside of Scotland, bands like Kasabian and all that just coming up time. It was just the
excellent time for Scottish music.
It was, and it was the first time since Games Master it was that I'd had that level of fun,
aye,
and that kind of level of creative fulfillment, and and then some dickhead boss came in and ruined it all.
Yeah, I noticed that. I must admit, I was gutted. I can't remember the guy that took it over, was he not for like Orkney or something?
Oh yeah, Julian Sinclair.
I mean, he was quite a decent bloke, but he wasn't yourself. I mean, obviously, you know, it was,
good guy.
when you left, it was again, it was just, you know, it was very, very sad. So good stuff. So you've lived in Canada now, Dominic, for 6 years. How do you find presenting Canadian radio differs from like UK stuff? You obviously don't get Andy Cameron advertising Larry's laminates and things like
that. No, you don't. I think I'm very fortunate that I'm not sure if it's always been like this. Or there's a lot of space given to personality in Canadian radio, a lot more than you would get in Britain. The industry's in a lot healthier state where, I mean, I look at like, you know, XFM, which has just come back to Scotland now, and it's basically just two guys. It's just Fraser in the morning and Jim Geltley in the afternoon, and everything else is run from England. And the lack of money in radio in Scotland is shocking.
Really?
No one can afford to live on it. Whereas here, I'm lucky that I've just had a really kind of quick rise up, thanks to a couple of bosses who just really like British radio. You know, and I think I think things like Craig Ferguson getting his chat show on American TV, greatest thing for Scottish accents in the North American continent. I think he really opened up a lot of doors, and I think this is how, you know, I'm so glad to see the likes of James Corden getting a gig over here, and you know, just it means that they're much more open to the accent. It helps. I mean, you know, every Canadian thinks they're Scottish anyway. Every Canadian got Scottish heritage. So no, I found it. It's especially in Toronto. It's the accent goes down really well, and it's not it's not been a problem, and it's been really good to kind of start again. I never planned on starting again. I came out here to have a farm, but then it just ran out of money. So, but it's been good to, you know, I unfortunately with Games Master, I mean, my career, I basically started at the top and worked my way down. It's been good to come over here and actually do it the proper way, actually.
The opposite way.
And build it up this time.
I mean, I do tune into your channel, and it sounds to me like you're getting to play the music that you like.
It's good, yeah, no, it's
good.
Yeah.
Excellent
stuff. It's a great country as well, Alan. I mean, I love it. If the people are so nice, and there's a real kind of it's very liberal, it's very chilled, it's very relaxed. There's a lot of there's a lot of love in Canada without sounding too much of a hippie, but people are just genuinely nice people.
Listen, I've been to America before, but Canada's probably the one country I would love to actually visit. So.
Oh, you should. They're great. They're just.
I didn't know anybody that could put me up for a couple of weeks, but. Anyway, listen, Dominic. The very final question: if geography and money wasn't an issue, i.e., a blank cheque, would you ever consider a return to Games Master?
Do you know what? I would not, and I'll tell you why. Because I think every time someone asks me that, it makes me more firmly say no, because the pressure to not fuck it up would be enormous. And I think it's very rare that you're able to do something and it finishes with a pretty much unblemished record. I would just hate to come back and it not be as good as. And I think that the level of criticism that you can get thanks to social networking in such a short space of time, I think it's horrible doing anything new. And just the idea that we would do it, and within the first 5 minutes of the first show that it's trending, Games Master's shit now.
That's shit.
I don't think my fragile ego couldn't handle that.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Dominic, I've taken up exactly 30 minutes more than I was hoping to take up of your time. I really, really appreciate you taking time to talk to me, mate. Obviously, because it's some Scottish. I know you don't do many of these interview things, so
I put you for the marathon training schedule. So
no, but how's the running going? Are you still doing any training yourself?
Done not. The winter here has been so horrific, Alan. I've not been out there running over 3 months because it's been like minus 36 with wind chill and everything here. And because Toronto, we get a lot of wind off the lake, So I don't mind it being cold, but it's running into a cold wind and it just fucks your throat up.
I find that, I mean, it's maybe -3, but yeah, I mean, I can go out for a run and it can be like 10 degrees and there's a really ice cold wind and it just kills me, and then I can go out and it's like -2 and there's no wind and it's absolutely fine. It seems to be the cold wind sort of thing. So, listen, Dominic, thank you very, very much for taking time. I'll post you the link to this once I've got it uploaded. And thank you very much. All the best for the future, chap, and you take care.
All right, you too, Alan. Nice talking to you.
Cheers, Dominic.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, man.
Yes, and number 3, this is quite an odd video. It's called The Evolution of the Commodore 64 Tape Loader. It was one day I was trying to think of something unusual, and it got me thinking about the tape loader. The tape loader evolved, over the years. It started off, a game would take, there was no such thing as turbo loader in the early days. A game could take 20 minutes to load, and then eventually the turbo loader came out. Then the turbo loader with a picture, then with music. So there's different kind of evolutions, or not evolutions, versions of the tape loader. So I thought it'd be quite interesting to actually do a wee history. So I tried to get as many tape loaders as I could pull together and just talk about them, talk about what they meant to me. And one of the nice things was Martin Galway actually commented on my channel. In fact, he commented on the video, which I thought was bloody excellent. I did actually contact him fairly soon after to see if he'd got for an interview, but he's never got back to me. But yeah, this is the evolution of the Commodore 64 tape loader. Enjoy.
Okay guys, welcome to yet another video. I should warn you, there is no gameplay or anything exciting in this video at all. This video is all about the history of the loader on the C64, which is probably not the most interesting thing in the world, but you know what, it's part of history. Now, Spectrum owners were always, people talk about how long it took to load a Spectrum game. They didn't know how lucky they were. In the very, very early days of the C64, it did literally take 15 minutes to load a game. There was no such thing as turbo loaders in the early days. So what you're seeing here is what you got when you were loading a game, and you sat and stared at that blue screen for about 15-20 minutes. I shit you not, that was how long it took to load a game before turbo loaders came along. Yep, there was no such thing as a loading screen, there was no music, there was nothing, there was just the abyss of light blue. But thankfully that didn't last forever, it probably lasted a good year. The funny thing was, I'm sure it actually loaded the game twice, and that's why it took so long. So if you press run stop, it would actually, and then type run, you could sometimes get it to load quicker. But anyway, this one here, Nova Load, this was one of the very, very early turbo loaders that came out for the C64. This particular game is Encounter, and it was by a company, well, the company that made Encounter was Novagin, and I believe they were the guys that actually made Novaload, and they did license it out to other companies, thankfully. Yep, this was what you got. Don't expect any music. All you get here is little squawks and screams and what have you as the game loads. But this was a revelation to C64 owners, because at least you got to see how long it was going to take. I mean, that's almost like one block a second, so you're talking about a minute and a half. Bear in mind that before the turbo loaders came along, you'd be looking at 10-15 minutes. So this was the very first Nova Load. The thing is, it did what you wanted it to do, it loaded the game quick, and that's all you're interested in. The thing is, with the blue screen, you had no idea if it was actually going to work or not, or if it was even loading or not. And if you pressed run stop and typed in run and it came up unknown command, then you knew you'd stopped it too early. So that was the first Nova Load. Now this one here, Pavloader. It's not a type of sweet. You're thinking of Pavlova. Pavlova. I don't know who came up with this one, but the first game I remember seeing this in was it Cavalon? I think it was, by Ocean. Again, there was no music, there was no loading screen, but you did get what the Spectrum had, and that was loading lines. Now, at least when you saw these lines moving up and down like that, you knew it was actually doing something. When the lines stopped moving, you knew there was an issue. And generally, it meant you just had to stop it and try again. And adjust the tape head and try again. But again, at least the game loaded quick. But like I said, there was no fancy frills. You just got your basic loading lines and that was it. So that was the original Pavlova. Right, this one is a newer version of Novaload. This was used on this was used by Ocean, and this particular game is Daley Thompson's Decathlon. Now this was like a treat for the eyes because you actually got something to look at. So you get the wee squawks and squeals at the beginning. Hey! We were now getting treated to some nice music. I think that loading tune was specific just to Daley Thompson's Decathlon. I don't recall it ever being used on anything else, any other Ocean games. Might be wrong, but I don't remember it being. I think it was just for Decathlon. But you've no idea how exciting it was to actually get that, going from having a blank screen which took 20 minutes to a game which loaded in about 2 or 3 with some nice music to listen to. It actually meant that you didn't mind waiting and thing to load. So this next one, this was the Pavlova again, but you can see there, improved. It featured the ability to rewind in case of a loading error. Goodness me, perish the thought. Now this particular game has a little Easter egg, a little surprise, which I'm not going to tell you. Again, you had to kind of wait in the loader to load. Now this one was revolutionary. There you go. If the border, meaning if it's flashing, it means it's loading data. If it's black, it means it's searching, and if it's white, it means a tape error. And what you could then do was rewind the tape a wee bit and then try again. But you generally found that if it didn't work once, it wasn't going to work no matter how many times you rewound the tape. So generally it was a case of trying to adjust the tape head, but at least it was a start anyway. So yeah, this game was quite unique in one way when it was loading, which you're going to find out. Again, the Pavlova didn't have any music to speak of, but at least you could see it was loading, and that was good. And we're getting there. So just picture the scene: you're sat in your bedroom with the volume turned up nice and loud, waiting an exploding fist to load. You sat and waited. The first time I heard that, I literally shat myself. Priceless. Yeah, that was Pavlova. That was later on. This is an early, again I think this is it's a version of Novaload which the early US Gold games featured. It had a very, very distinctive loading tune, again, which made waiting in the game to load not quite so tedious. So anyone watching this that never had an 8-bit computer, you probably think this is absolutely prehistoric, but this is what we had to contend with. None of your discs, none of your CDs, none of your digital downloads, none of your flash drives, none of your ROMs, none of your cartridges. It was all tape. So you have to stand and salute. This was great for two ways, because A, it gave you quite a nice wee tune, and B, it actually gives you a kind of medley of American tunes, and B, it actually showed you how long you had to go. So, 50 odd seconds, that wasn't bad at all. This game, like I said, would have taken 20 minutes to load before a tape loader. Yeah, like I was saying, I believe in the early days before turbos came along, turbo tape loaders came along, the Commodore 64 actually used to load the game in twice. It was just to do with, I think it loaded it in once, then it loaded it in a second time as a sort of verification process. But sometimes, if you're lucky, you could actually stop the tape by pressing run stop and type in run, and it would actually load, but not always. But it literally did take 20 minutes to load. That's how we rocked back in the day. Right, this particular one here kicked off a bit of a sort of a tradition. This was the Ocean Loader. Now the tune was written by the wonderful Martin Galway, who makes an impressive tune. This is a Whizbolt. There were various incarnations of this, but this was the very first version, which graced quite a lot of games until they decided to change it. I don't know why they changed it, because it was fantastic anyway. I dare say just to keep it interesting. Now I have actually edited this particular one. It does sit with that flashing screen for quite a bit longer, so what you're seeing here is a slightly shortened version of it. I used to sometimes wonder, would a game load quicker if it didn't have music and a title screen? I'm guessing it probably would. In my opinion, this is one of the best musical tracks on the C64. The use of the sound is phenomenal. Now, sadly I didn't actually include the whole thing, but if you go to Google you'll easily find it. The Ocean Loader is a fantastic tune. So the C64 went from having the worst loading system over the Spectrum, because it just had a blue screen and the Spectrum had a nice picture. But then the C64 became the better machine, because it gave you a lovely tune to listen to, as well as a really nice kind of picture. I mean, some of the artwork in these loading screens was just fantastic. Right, this one is the second version, the Ocean Loader, and it's got a slower version of the same Martin Galway track. I remember at the time hearing it thinking, that sounds different, and I thought to myself, nah, surely not, it must be the same, it must be my imagination. But then, yeah, it was just a slower version. Oh, getting some lines. It was always good when you saw lines, because you knew it was actually loading. You knew it was doing something. It's when it just went blank. That's when you feared the worst. And 9 times out of 10, it was the worst. Now you will hear the slight subtle changes to the tune. can see that was back when artists were allowed to put their names to loading screens. I'm quite surprised I actually did that. You know, considering it was a kind of a commercial product, you thought they were taking it off, but they seemed to let them get away with it, which is fine. So there was a slight change. It says it was a slower tune. If you listen to the full thing, again, if that's the Ocean Loader 2, just Google it, you'll find it. There is a wonderful thing called the High Voltage SID collection, which is easily downloaded, and it's basically every SID tune ever you could conceive on a C64. There's something like 40,000 tunes, so go and check it out. Right, this is the third Ocean Loader tune. This one is by, I didn't even see the name, I typed a wee message there, but it's a different person that did the music. I'm guessing Martin Galway must have been taken away to work on other stuff. Yeah, when it stopped moving, you're like, is it going to work? Is it going to work? Sometimes, rather than coming up with the name like Combat School, it would come up it was like corrupted, and you knew it hadn't loaded properly. I would hate to think the number of hours, and not just me, probably other 8-bit owners, spent staring at loading screens, wondering if it was going to work or not. What you say, in the main, the C64, if it started loading, then you tend to find that it would actually work properly. It very rarely crashed at the end. I know the Spectrum was terrible for a game loading, and you got the title screen and everything, and then at the very end, just when the game was about to start, it would just go back to the white screen. But the C64, generally, if you had a problem, it would always be in the sort of first couple of seconds. But once it kind of started loading, invariably it would work. So you can hear the difference in this version, a remix type thing. Totally changes. And that's a fantastic picture, it really is. When you think of the limited, resolution, the limited colour palette they're using, it's fantastic. Actually a very good game, that Combat School. Really excellent conversion. Okay, this is the fourth version, with the music by Jonathan Dunn. Yeah, it was Jonathan Dunn that done the music for that Ocean 3. But yeah, like I was saying, go and check out High Voltage SID collection. It's about 30 meg, it's tiny, but it's just absolutely bursting with every single SID tune you could ever imagine. Vindicator, don't remember that one. I think by this point, there you go, it's even advertising, come and see us at this year's PC show, stand 3101. I think by this point, I think we're probably talking about mid-80s, we're probably talking about 87, 88 at this point, and I think I had moved on to the 16-bit, so I wasn't really aware of these games at that point. It's funny how it's a daft thing to say, but you only have nostalgia for for games that you remember. So really anything on the C64 after about 87 is kind of lost in me, and I really don't play any games that were made after that, just because I didn't play them back in the day, so I've not got the nostalgia. The period of C64 for me was 83, I would say, late 83, right through to about, I don't know, mid 87. I think it was, or was it mid 88? I think it was mid 88 actually, because I got my, what did I get? I sold my C64 to buy an Atari ST. Anyway, I'm waffling a wee bit, we're talking about loaders here. Now that might be monotone, but you know, look at the detail in it, that's phenomenal. That's an incredible piece of artwork. It just shows you what you can do with the skill and the tools, obviously. I mean, I'm guessing the guy probably used some sort of, I don't know, light gun, not light gun, a light pen or something like that, or he possibly did it on another machine and poured it across. But that's a phenomenal looking picture. That is really impressive. So that was the fourth ocean loader. Let's move on to the last one. This was ocean loader number 5. Again, it's got new music by Jonathan Dunn. Renegade 3, I actually looked at that in my last video. What do you call it? They Did What? Imagine, and it's a bloody awful game. It's the baddies. I mean, the graphics for it are really good, but the baddies they picked for Renegade 3 are just terrible. Things like killer birds and things like that. Missed opportunity. They should have stuck with your sort of knife wielding thugs and stuff like that. You can see there the loading lines were just kind of freeload. There we go. So it's freeload, this system. I did actually Google different loading systems in C64, and there was a phenomenal number of fast loaders. So many. But obviously you wouldn't know what one was what, but all you were interested in was the fact that it was going to get loaded quicker. Again, look at that, that's fantastic. I'm trying to see what the initials are in that. Something J. Don't know what that is. The one thing about tape loaders which they gave, which was an advantage over other medias I should say, although the fact it took so long to load, I mean nowadays people just, they want it loaded instantly, but the fact that it took 3 or 4 minutes to load, it meant that you played the game, because you had to wait in it loading, you wouldn't just play it for 5 seconds and switch it off, because you knew you had to then wait in another game loading. So when you put a game on, you played it. Whereas if you had a game on cartridge or, you know, instant download, I mean emulators now, you can load a game in, you know, the blink of an eye. If you don't like it, you can just load another game in the blink of an eye. So you don't play games, but because the tape, because you had to wait in a game loading, then it made you play them. Nowadays we're just far too used to instant loading. So that was the Ocean number 5. Now this one here this was, you can see there, Mix E-Load, written by Gary Liddon, and the first game it featured on, it might have been the only game it featured on actually, was Delta, and that was released by Thalamus Software. Delta Mix E-Load. No, actually, I was talking to Gary, he was at our computer club, was it last year, the year before, and I was asking Gary about the Mix E-Load, and he said it was actually, it was fairly simple to do, but you know, it was incredibly successful. I don't know why they never actually licensed it out to other software houses. There was probably some good reason. Aye, going back to waiting on the tape, yeah, because the fact that you had to wait in it, it meant you appreciated it, and it meant you actually played the game. But if we had instant loading back in 1985, chances are we wouldn't have played the games half as long as we did. So there's a definite advantage. The fact that it's the downside to tape is the loading speed, but then that also has a flip side, which is an advantage. It's the fact that it actually makes you play games. So yep, Delta Mix E-Load. This is about to kick in. I can see the wee sound bit at the bottom. There we go. Now what this did was, you can see there you've got 4 voices. I thought the C64 only had 3, but they must have used some clever technique. You've got lead, bass, drums and effects. Now using the joystick you can move left and right and up and down and change each of these as the game's loading. Now it does take a few seconds for the new kind of sound to kick in. When I first got this, I didn't think it was actually working, but when you actually listen to it and wait a second, you do see it. So I'm going to shut up for a second and let you listen to it. So going from a blank screen to something like this where you could actually change the music, alter it, it's just amazing. Always love to be scrolling messages, all the famous names: Julian Ego Rignall, Gary Grumpy Pen, Steve Newboy Jarrett. So that was the Mix E-Load, and that was by Thalamus Software. And this is the last one we're going to look at, guys. This is Inviload, or Invalode. Finally you could play a game while the main game loaded using the Invalode system. Now I never actually got to play a game using this loading system. I said I'd probably moved on to the Atari ST at this point. Scumball. Now I think this is actually a Mastertronic game, and it was a budget game. So you're going to see just what little trick it actually does, but the fact that this is on a budget game was pretty clever. It's not pretty clever, it's quite generous of them actually. But I'll shut up and you can see what's going to happen. I'm sure there was a lot more other different types of loaders which I haven't included in this. I mean, I've only got the sort of the 3-4 years experience with the C64 to kind of draw on. But I says I did find out as many as I possibly could. There may have been other things, but yeah, this one, here we go, Invalode. This is actually a game. It loaded a game which you could play. Now this is me playing it earlier on. And it's actually not bad, it's bloody fiendish. As you can see there, the number of bullets it's dropping are just ridiculous. And it's actually not a bad version of Space Invaders. And you don't just get that, you also get a bloody Rob Hubbard tune playing in the background. I mean, that's just mental. And this was just while the game was loading. I'm guessing the way it would work, it would load as much as it could, then when the memory was full up, it would stop this game, clear the memory, and the same with the tune, because you always found that the music always stopped a couple of minutes before the game finished loading, obviously because it needed the memory for the actual game. But this is actually quite a good little version of Space Invaders. I almost did it, but just not quite. So that is it, guys. That is my little history of the C64 loader. Granted, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's part of history, as they say. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed watching it, and as usual, thank you so much for watching.
So yeah, that is my favourite 3 videos. There's other videos that I've enjoyed. I mean, I enjoy most of the videos that I've put together. I don't mean I enjoy watching them, but I enjoy making them. But there's always 1 or 2 videos that you'll make that you think, I really enjoyed that, and I'm sure every other YouTuber is exactly the same. So I'm going to have a wee refreshment and I'll have a look at the next thing. This next little section, I've called it the best things about having a YouTube channel. First one, it's fun. You know, what's not to like about talking about your favourite hobby, playing video games, getting people to talk to you about them. It's great fun, you know. Sometimes it's not always fun, but generally it's a hobby, it's one of my passions. I like running and I like playing video games, and so getting to make videos and talking about video games, you know, fantastic. Next one, it allows creativity. I'm not going to say I'm a creative person. I mean, I used to do drama when I was at school, in primary school. I've not done it for years and years and years, but I used to write, as I've mentioned before, I used to write for an online video game magazine, Way of the Rodent. Got to talk about video games. That kind of stopped being a thing about, I don't know, 10 years ago, 9 years ago. So having a YouTube channel is my outlet for being creative, you know. The great thing is, it's my channel, I can do whatever I want, you know. I've got full control over it. So it's excellent. Some of the videos you put out are crap, some of them are excellent, you know. So it's a great window if you want to kind of do stuff. The next one is a big side for me. It's the social side, the friends that I've made, the community that has kind of popped up around it. I mean, I don't get to socialise very much in real life with people. I mean, last weekend I was down at Blackpool and I got to meet a lot of the kind of awesome YouTubers, guys whose channels I watch, and I think they watch mine as well. So yeah, that side of it is excellent. I'd like to think I've made a few friends through the power of YouTube. Guys that have been watching my channel. I mean, Brian, the guy I mentioned earlier on, I've been out for a few pints with Brian. So, you know, this thing does allow real life friendships as well. But it's just great fun, the community, people commenting your videos, getting to talk to them, you know, brilliant. One of the big things for me is when people give you positive feedback, you know, they say they really enjoyed a video or they love the channel. That is awesome. I mean, you know, yeah, it's like, I suppose it's like massaging your ego a wee bit, but, you know, considering we do this for absolutely nothing, when somebody says they enjoy what you're actually doing, that is a big, big plus. I mean, that is a major boost, and it makes you want to keep doing it. You know, if nobody was commenting, if I was putting out these videos all the time and I wasn't getting any feedback, chances are I'd probably have to reevaluate things and think, well, what am I doing? A bit like I did, you know, after 2 months. So when people say they enjoy it, you get a tremendous buzz, you really do. And the last one, which is a minor one, that I've written here, being recognised. It's only happened a couple of times, but it's pretty wicked when you're at one of these gaming events and a complete stranger comes up to you and introduces himself because he knows you through your YouTube channel. So that is again, it's a bit of a big buzz for myself, you know. So that is the best things about having a YouTube channel. The not so good things about having a YouTube channel: first one, it consumes a lot of time. it does take up a lot of time. I mean, my videos are pretty basic, you know, the sort of editing side of things, they are very, very basic. When I look at some of the videos that some people put out, you know, I couldn't do that. I mean, it must take hours and hours and hours and hours. I mean, I put out, I don't know, 4 videos a week, and it does take up a fair chunk of time. I mean, this is my Friday night and I'm sitting up here recording this, you know, where I could be downstairs watching a film, but, you know, it does take up a lot of time. So that's something you need to kind of be aware of if you're ever thinking of starting a channel. Number 2, not so good things about having a channel. It can sometimes feel like a chore when you're doing it. You know, it's like anything that you do in your life. There's always going to be times where you just can't be arsed. And having a YouTube channel is exactly the same. There are times where I'm just not feeling that. I mean, I've seen me sometimes recording a Friday Waffle and I'll talk for 5 minutes and I'll just suddenly stop because I'll just run dry, I've got nothing to say, and I'm like, ugh, and I kind of feel I've got to do it. So yeah, it can sometimes be a bit of a chore. You know, you've got to, it can become a bit of a noose round your neck. If you're not enjoying it, you know, then don't do it, you know. But fortunately in the main, I really enjoy making videos. It's not very often that I'm not in the mood for it. So yeah, and because it's my channel, I can decide when I'm going to record one. And the last one is occasional nasty comments. You know, you're occasionally going to get somebody who makes some rude comment or be quite nasty to you. What you have to understand is when you're out there in YouTube land, you're on a public website. Anybody at all can watch your channel, so you have to be aware of it. But when it does happen, I mean, I'm fortunate. I've only had a couple over 3.5 years, but when it does happen, it does initially sort of kick the wind out of you, because, you know, when you're getting positive stuff all the time, when somebody's nasty to you, it can deflate you a wee bit, you know. So that's another side to another sort of negative side to YouTube. So you've got to try and not take it too personal. Now, if you're thinking of starting your own YouTube channel, I mean, I wouldn't say frequently, but I do on occasions. People will ask me for tips about having a channel, you know, do's and don'ts. Now, I was going to pick 5 do's and 5 don'ts, but I couldn't think of 5 don'ts, and I could think of 1 extra do. So this is 6 do's for someone starting a video game channel. Firstly, always be yourself. Don't try and pretend you're somebody else. Yeah, by all means, you can watch somebody else's channel and you can let them influence you. You know, I mean, Steve Benway, I've always said that. Steve Benway was a big influence in me making a YouTube channel, especially doing the Friday Waffle. But it's important you're yourself. Don't try and be somebody you're not, because people will see through that. And, you know, be yourself. Next one, try and make unique content. Now, when you're kind of concentrating on, you know, this hobby that we do, retro gaming, classic systems, whatever, it's easy to just kind of get caught up in the run-of-the-mill gameplays, pickups, whatever, you know. But the thing is, your subscribers will soon get bored watching you doing the same thing over and over again. And, you know, it's the same with there's lots of channels making gameplay videos, making pickup videos. So as much as it's going to be difficult to make all your content unique, I always try and think of something different. Something you come up with something that you know, is unique. So try and make yourself unique. Try and stand out, because then if you stand out and people enjoy what you're doing, then they're more likely to hit that subscribe button and come back. Number 3, make videos about a subject matter that you would want to watch. Now, without sounding arrogant, I've always made videos that I personally would watch, and I do watch my videos from time to time. I mean, in the early days, I used to watch every video that I put out just to make sure it looked alright. But yeah, first and foremost, this channel is for me. It's my outlet to be creative. I don't do it for people to watch them. The fact that people do watch them, and if you enjoy them, then that is a nice kind of side effect. But I will always put out videos that I would actually want to watch. So talk about stuff that you're interested in, and I says talk about, you know, talk about stuff that you would want to watch, because if you're enthusiastic when you're talking in a video, people will detect that. If you're trying to talk about, I mean, I've got no interest in football, and if I was to try and make a video about football, then it would come over to the viewer that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So talk about something that you know a bit about and you're interested in, and that will definitely come over to the person watching. Now this is quite an important one. My channel, from a technical point of view, is pish. It really is. You know, I mean, I've been doing this for 3.5 years and I still haven't mastered having a proper picture. You know, a lot of the time my videos are quite blurred looking. Not blurred, but not kind of very sharp looking. So yeah, if you've got a good camera, perfect. But Dave Lawnboy's post, Dave, he'll be the first to admit that his setup isn't the greatest. He's like me, he points a camera or a phone at himself and just talks. I think he has got a new camera, so it does look better. But it's all about the content for me. But one thing that you have to be careful about, and I have said this to a few people, in fact, my mate, Retronic Collector Tony, I met him at Blackpool, and I did actually say to him, you need to make sure you've got a good microphone, because if people can't hear you talking clearly, they'll switch off. I mean, I've seen me watching, you know, videos that I want to watch on channels that I do watch, and I'll maybe get 10 minutes in, then I'll switch it off just because I can't physically hear what the person's saying. If you can't kind of be made out clearly, then people will switch off. So try and always make sure the microphone that you've got, whether it's a phone like I'm using just now, you need to be clear. Try and get I mean, I'm not great at getting the sort of the volume levels balanced. Sometimes the sound will be too loud or not loud enough. But if people can't hear you, they'll switch off. So always try and make sure, you know, you're talking clearly and people can hear your voice. That's why you should maybe listen to a wee bit of your video before you upload it. Make sure people can hear what you're saying. What would number that be? Number 5. Try and put out regular videos. Now, you don't have to put a video out every day, not at all. I mean, I think there's a flip side to it. If you're putting out too many videos, people will constantly be getting, you know, bombarded with Mindmeisters uploading another video, and they'll just not watch it. But on the flip side, if you're only putting out one video a month, people will look at the channel and they'll see the last video this guy put out was 4 weeks ago, and chances are, if they're not putting out videos, then why should you watch them? I mean, I've recently unsubscribed a few people because they're not making content anymore. There's no point in having them on a subscriber list if they're not going to make content. I mean, I generally try and put out one video every couple of days. I've got my Friday Waffle on a Friday. I usually put a wee 10-minute mashup on a Saturday, Sunday. Arcade Perfect on a Monday, something else on a Wednesday. So I usually try and put out 4 videos, at least 3 a week. Some people who put out really, really good videos, you know, real quality videos. I mean, Paul Jenkinson, he does the Spectrum show, his videos are absolutely outstanding. The quality is just insane. It's the same with Kim Justice. She puts out amazing videos. Now, you're not going to get 4 videos for these guys because the quality is so high. But when you've got a kind of a basic channel like myself, you need to have regular content so that people know that you're not giving up YouTube. And if they know that you're going to put out 2 or 3 videos a week, they're more inclined to kind of check your channel to watch it. So yeah, try and make sure you put out regular videos. And the last one, I do try and interact and reply to comments on both their own and other people's videos. My pet hate is when I take time to comment on somebody's video and they don't reply. I'm like, well, you know, I've taken time to watch your video, to give my feedback, and they don't reply. I always make a point of replying to every single comment. You know, whether it's just a enjoy the video or they maybe state a fact about a game, I'll always acknowledge it, whether it's, you know, thanks for the information, whatever. Because at the end of the day, it's all about giving back. If people are taking time to watch your videos and taking time to comment, then I think it's only right that you take time to reply. You know, that's how you build up a kind of audience. I mean, there's quite a few people that I could name who are regular to the channel because we've got a bit of banter going on. They know if they ask them a question or, you know, they post a comment, I will reply to it. And it's the same with other people's videos. I mean, if I'm watching a video I'll usually try and make a comment, even if it's just to say great video, because you know, most people don't do this for money. We do it just as a bit of fun. It's a hobby, and what makes it important is getting feedback. Like I said earlier on, if you don't get any feedback, then you know you're inclined to think, well, why'd I bother? But getting feedback, even if it's negative feedback, it's still, you can see that people are watching it. That's your indication that people are actually watching the videos you put out. And it's important because it encourages the YouTuber to keep making videos, and it just gets a bit of banter going. It gets a community thing going. So yeah, that's one. I mean, I know not everybody does that, but I would say if you're going to start a YouTube channel, always try and make a point of replying to a comment. You know, they're taking time to ask you a question, post a comment. I think the very least you can do as a YouTuber is to reply to it. So that is my 6 do's if you're going to start a video channel, and I've got 4 don'ts. Don't do it to become rich and famous. It's not going to happen. You know, we're not all going to be PewDiePie or whatever. I mean, if you look at the sort of retro gaming YouTube scene, I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't watch any real big massive channels, but guys like what's his name? I can't even remember the name of them. The big sort of retro channels are usually in America, and they might have, I don't know, 500,000 subscribers. You look at other, YouTube channels. There's guys that run into millions, but the average YouTube channel in the UK, you're looking, maybe between a couple of hundred, couple of thousand subscribers. I mean, Steve Benway, he's been doing this for a long time. He's a super successful channel. He's got, I think it's 16,000 subscribers, which is an amazing achievement. But you couldn't live on the money, So don't ever start this to become rich and famous. I think you're just going to be disappointed. You might be lucky. You might strike it. You might just strike it lucky and become rich and famous. But I think chances are it's not going to happen. So never ever start this with the intent of becoming wealthy, because I really don't think it's going to happen, guys. And that is the truth of the matter. Second, don't let it take over your life. I mean, I've got a family, I've got a daughter, I've got a wife, I've got other things, I've got a job. It's always got to be a hobby. I mean, I did have a situation maybe 2 years ago where my wife basically made a comment about how often I was spending up in this games room making videos. I mean, I was making a video every day, and it kind of hit home. And I thought to myself, yeah, I'm spending far too much time doing this. It is only a hobby. If something was to go wrong, ultimately the YouTube channel would disappear, and so you've got to keep it in perspective. It is just a hobby, so don't ever let it take over your life to the point that you're going to ruin a relationship, or you're not leaving the house or whatever. Because as much as it's great having a community on this thing, ultimately you're not really seeing people in real life, so you've got to keep it in perspective. Make sure you've got other things going on in your life. Don't let it become the number one thing. And the last one, I would say, treat it as fun and don't take yourself too seriously. Because you've got to remember, this is a public website. Anybody can watch your videos. If you're taking yourself too seriously, you've got to be open for people to piss take, whatever. I've had a bit of mickey taken in the past, and you know what, you just laugh at it. That's part and parcel of being out there. If you're not able to take criticism, then YouTube is probably not for you. In fact, I would say it's definitely not for you. You've got to be prepared to take criticism. So treat it as a bit of fun, and that way you'll never really get too hurt with it. It says, and don't take yourself too seriously, because you just leave yourself wide open for ridicule and whatnot. So that is kind of it. The future, what have we got in the future for this channel? As long as I'm enjoying it, and as long as other people are enjoying the channel, I will continue to do what I'm doing. I'm always trying to think up, new stuff, new content. Yeah, it's quite a narrow subject matter that we're talking about here. Video games, there's only two things you can do. You can either talk about video games, or you can be playing video games. So I'm always trying to think of different things. Hence the reason I've got all these different features. Some of them work, some of them don't work. But as far as the future goes, like I says, as long as I'm enjoying doing this, I mean, if it gets to the stage where I don't enjoy making videos, then I will knock it on the head, absolutely. Take a break, whatever. And then secondly, if people aren't watching it, if people don't like what I'm doing anymore, then it would probably encourage me just to kind of knock it on the head as well. But it just really remains for me to say, guys, thank you very much for all the support for 1,004 videos. Please remember, by the way, I mean, there is an archive of videos. I mean, if you've maybe only been watching the channel for a couple of months, you need to remember that the stuff I talk about is old. So a video that I made 4 years ago or 3 years ago is just as relevant as it is now. So if you watch, if you like watching like the Arcade Perfect My Arses, go into the playlist and you'll see another 50 odd videos. You know, it's the same with the Waffles. You can look at a much younger me 3 years ago. But there's all these, like I said, there's an archive of over 1,000 videos to watch. So if you're particularly bored and you want to see some older videos, click on it because they're still just as relevant, you know. So, but anyway, listen, guys, that is it. Apologies for not using any questions this week, but I just thought I had to address the over 1,000 videos thing. So the questions that I've got this week, I will be carrying forward to next week. So it just remains for me to say, guys, thank you very much for watching.